We gotta both record. I was like, why isn't that red? Are you recording?
Uh, yeah,
Oh, the Roadcaster?
yeah.
Okay. Just in case, let's clap it in. Fuck Twitch people. They'll have to deal with the.
I'm so terrible at this. Every
I
time there's
know.
like a
I
delay where I like clap and I'm like, what?
I know. Let's like literally. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, and we'll clap like on three. It's like me and Anton to get it perfect. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was good enough. Like it went on my side. It's like if it's a couple seconds delayed, the audio is not going to lack that much. But welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome back. I guess you could call it a classy stranger episode, which I would love to. I want to create a little intro for us. But I'm Tomcat, aka Tom Thompson, and I got the Irishman Aran. I was trying to think of like what nickname we could call
And only the other day I was actually listening to the Irish Vanishing Triangle episode, and I was listening to like you guys like spewing out your aliases and stuff, and then I just come in with like, yeah, I don't have anything cool, and I was sitting there for like the last like 2 days going like, I can't think of anything that like even sounds anyway natural now. Like I'm not trying to like.
Man, well, mine just was stupid from the beginning. It was just like hip hop names I had, right? Like Tomcat, aka Tom Thompson, and like I guess it kind of meshes, but that's just because like people used to call me Tomcat. Like you probably don't know this, but like when I was like a chef, like a cook, like I had my head chef and stuff like that, and everyone called me Tomcat like back in the day. And even my my fucking chef, when I'd be like prepping downstairs, we had like a basement prep kitchen. He'd be like, wow, and like meow at me or like fucking cat, let's get upstairs and he'd be like, when you're signing off on stuff, he'd like just put a kitty paw. I don't know it was you, and I'm like, fucking. It was just like a jokey name, and it means you fuck older women. But that's I kind of just like it just kind of stuck.
It's just stuck, yeah.
And then my grandfather's name is Tom Thompson, so like I kept that, and he was a painter. So I kind of, and then I was like, you know what? No one has the name the Raptilian, and is my favorite conspiracy. And I was like, hey, that's mine now. That's mine, and I'm the only YouTube channel with that thing. So I was like, you know what? That's mine now. But we'll fucking think of something for you. Like, and I don't like it. I guess it doesn't need to be based on that you're Irish. It could be just something like, horror man Aaron. That sounds stupid.
Yeah, you see, I just feel like something like reptilian is like it just rolls off the tongue and it seems like
Yeah.
super creative. So like anything that I tried to come up with was like it was kind of like what you said, where it's like horror boy,
Yeah.
super horror man boy.
That's
Awful.
fucking hilarious. No, this is really exciting because like when this comes out and stuff like that, it will be getting closer to Halloween. We have plans to do like a live special for all the fans out there. I really want to get that done. We'll actually hash out a date that we're gonna do it in October, and it will be posted on all of the stuff, all of our feeds and everything like that, Instagram and all that shit. Because I would like to do with me, Billy, Aaron, and Anton, kind of have the group together and do a fun Halloween episode. You'll have to catch we had a live that we did last year. It's on the YouTube, and we all dressed up. It was, and then it was fucking great. And then for me and Billy's special, we when we did Billy did the fucking Halloween special, you can find that on YouTube and stuff like that, and obviously the audio is on the podcast. But I dressed up like Rowdy Roddy Piper, and like from They Live with like the glasses and everything. It was dope, and like it was just funny because I had a fan that was like, I needed to watch the video because he's like, when you guys were recording, he was like, I was missing out on stuff because I was like, this is why it's so important to watch the specials on YouTube, because Alex, Billy's buddy, was like pissing under the table in a fucking bottle because he couldn't hold it in, and like it was just like bananas. But it was a hilarious episode. But I want to do more stuff like that in your Halloween, like get the fans like in the chats talking to us, all that kind of stuff. So we're definitely gonna do that, and I think that we'll try to fit in some good fun Halloween episodes and shit.
I want to do some sort of commentary with you closer to Halloween.
Yeah.
Something. At first, I had toyed with the idea of the Wes Craven Carnival of Souls.
Yeah.
One, just something obscure and just like weird.
See, I've never seen the remake, so Carnival of Souls would be a good idea. And would you like to do it for the main show or for the Patreon?
it doesn't really matter to me. I would just thought it would be a cool idea. It'd be fun, I
Yeah.
think, and I feel like that's a kind of a unique, like it has quite a cult following, but it's not like, it's not like we're going like, oh, we're going to watch like the first Halloween movie, and it's like everybody
No.
will be like, oh, I've already fucking seen this.
That's why we chose like a sleepaway camp, and I think we should do it as a Patreon thing because we're able to shoot to both of our Patreons, and people on Twitch. My brother's fucking watching, and he's like, "Woo, Aaron!" Like you're kind of getting behind the scenes on Twitch a little bit, but like I want to do like the commentary kind of thing for like Halloween and for the Patreon for both of us. But I would like to keep that an ongoing thing,
Mhm.
like me, you, and Anton, he wants to do Jason X. We could all do that
Oh,
together.
yeah,
Would be fucking funny all three because
good
then you're
one.
chilling with your boys, drinking up, even though we're apart.
That's a
And
good one.
and then I've never seen. I said to Anton, I was like, if you ever think of movies that you think I haven't seen, like I haven't really seen Chud, or weird obscure movies like that. Which it would be good to have somebody that's never seen it and be like, what the fuck? Like I didn't see Sleepaway Camp surprisingly till like last year. And I fucking really liked it. I was like, this is just like Friday the 13th, but with tranny fucking shit going on. Like
I was like that with Toxic Avenger. I hadn't seen
I've
that
seen
until like
that. Yeah.
maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah, I saw that when I was like young because like a buddy's older brother's playing, but that's a good one to do. Like trauma fucked up like movies is good to do. And we're gonna have a lot of stuff for the commentary and for the Patreon. So obviously always shut that out. But for this episode, we are kind of doing a Canada versus Ireland most haunted. You could say I'm gonna call it Haunted Canada versus Ireland, and then we can kind of go on and do some other haunted things to do with like a kind of a little series. I made this ridiculous intro.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, Ireland shall shelter the despot or the slave. Tonight we hand the barn well.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
That was it. I literally I threw that together at work.
When the Irish anthem came on there, at first I was like, wait a second, that's not the fucking over here, right? This is a really weird thing. So like
It's
we have
in
our
like
own,
I saw it's in like isn't it in Gaelic or something like
yeah.
that?
So like we have our own language here.
Do you
But
speak it like well?
I can speak it, but not well anymore. When I was still in high school and stuff, I was quite fluent in it. And like a lot of people go and stay out in the west of Ireland, and like they have areas out there that strictly speak like they will not speak English.
Crazy, yeah. Oh, it
And
reminds me of the French Canadians.
like that national anthem, I actually don't know that in English.
Crazy.
I would say like most people here don't speak the Irish language, but
Yeah.
I would say probably 95% of the population, if they do know the Irish national anthem, they don't know it in English. They only know it in Irish.
That's kind of crazy. And like I would love to learn some like Gaelic swear words and stuff like that. But like it's like fucking Quebec. We always rip on Quebec. It is a fucking joke. But the thing is like that like there's some parts of Quebec that will not speak English to people, or they just don't choose to learn it. But yet we're forced down our throat at school. I never learned French because I hated it. Not gonna lie. I just don't like. I don't find the language appealing. I'm sorry. I know
Mhm.
I'm Canadian and there's tons of Frenchies here, but like I just don't find it appealing. And then you go over there and there was supposed to be some like Rebel News posted that was like certain jobs will pay you less if you can't speak French in Quebec and if you only speak English. And I'm like, that's fucking not good, man. You can't do that. That's like fucking bigotry.
I was going to say, is that not illegal?
That's like, I don't know. There's a lot of illegal things going on in Canada right now. Trudeau being alive, I think, is illegal. So,
Mhm.
but this will be fun. Like, we got a bunch of fun ghost stories coming up, and it's like we're essentially doing like, you found some longer ones. I got a couple, so we're gonna go two and then one and then two and then one because mine are quite short, but kind of really spooky. I literally try to Google like most fucked up hauntings. It's like nothing really. It just was like Reader's Digest, the most haunted places in Canada. Like, I was like digging on DuckDuckGo for like I want some weird shit. But
You know what I found
yeah,
as well when I went to Google it, I had a similar thing where it was stuff like that was popping up, and like these like cringy, like, discoverireland.com had like
Yeah.
top 5 places you want to visit in Ireland this Halloween. And it's like some bullshit like,
Yes, yeah.
Mary's Haunted Field or something. And you're like,
I saw that too, like stuff like that. And to bring it up, I think it's one that you'll probably enjoy listening to is for Halloween. We have a 2-parter on sexual specters, fucking sex ghosts. Like literally, I had it written out for a while, and I was like, this is definitely coming towards Halloween. And now Anton's like, I want to be on that one because it was gonna be me and Billy. So now there's gonna be all 3 of us, and it's like fucked. All these women and some guys, and mostly women, claim to be got fucked by a ghost. It's quite funny.
are any of them similar to that scene in is it Scary Movie 2?
Yeah, where she's like banging her head off the fucking wall, and her underwear like fucking is like it says Wednesday and it's Saturday. So fucked. And this will just be for the YouTube and Twitch listeners. And then obviously I might I'll start throwing more shit up on BitChute, which you just go Stranger Podcast at BitChute. But we're gonna watch 2 videos of like some of the most spookiest footage I could find on YouTube. So let's unmute your mic so then you're able to respond to it because it's gonna mute your mic at the bottom. So let's play this first one.
Anything. Come on, please, anything. Now, I'm not being funny, people. I'm going. Word water's just come up. As in the name.
Why is it echoing like that?
I'm going. Yeah, but look, it's come up. I'm not going to sit here. Everything's thrown at me. If you're there, please show yourself. It's thrown at me!
Oh, Aaron, it was you. Just turn down the USB for now. I'll get the audio. There. That's fucking weird. If this is real.
I just thought that. I was like, why would somebody bother trying to fake that?
This is weird. A guy catches on his baby's monitor. I'd be like, fuck that.
See, stuff like this now would make me shit my pants.
No, for sure. Like if I just put a camera out, or like we have the dog camera for the dog, and I start seeing shit like this in my house, like a cup fall, I would be like, oh fuck. And this is at like some fucking buddy's house or pub or something. Oh no, the salt shaker's moving. He needs salt with his fries. What the fuck? That looks fake to me, honestly. It looks like someone picked up a pillow. This one's strange because it's caught by like a security camera. Just watch the guy's hand, but kind of by the bar. The glass just pops.
Oh, there's another thing, right? This is probably fake, but
Yeah.
that would make me shit my pants.
Well, it's his whole video is like the one I even posted on Instagram of like the lady in like see what the fuck, the lady like in the where she's like out in the woods and the guy like pulls up and there's this crazy weird looking like Ozzy Osbourne creature. So that's fucking strange.
Wow, that just gave me fucking chills.
So I want to do kind of bring us in the mood.
I don't know why as well, but the idea of like, being in the dark there and you've got all the seats and then he's using the flashlight to move around.
Yeah. No, yeah, because you don't know what you're seeing. Even like I watched Phantasm last week outside on mushrooms. Yeah, I watched Phantasm last week on mushrooms outside. I actually was pretty much paying attention to the movie. I was like, my girlfriend kept tripping me out because she was like looking around, watching the dog, make sure. And I was like looking up, and I could see all the stars were having like they had patterns all connecting and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I wish you could see what I could see. Like this is fucking weird. And then when I went out to like, I just like you just go around the whatever out like further down into the darkness to take a pee, and you could just see like shadows moving, and it's just like it's because I'm like, and then I'm starting to think like, is this reality as real as I think it is, or is this in my head, or is this, you know what I mean? Like, that's why mushrooms is such a strange thing. Like, am I tapping into something or am I not?
Yeah, and I often wonder that when, and it'll probably come up a few times now in a minute with some of these
Yeah.
different cases. You know, when you see people like, you know, they visit haunted places and stuff like that, and maybe not being under the influence, you know, of being high or, you know, taking mushrooms or something like that. But
Yeah.
do you think that there's something to, and I'm pretty sure there's a name on this, but I just can't remember. Uh, you know, the idea of like going somewhere that's haunted
Yeah.
and then you nearly like manifest shit in your head.
Yeah, see, I'm not going to deny that it's quite possible that people's minds can play tricks on them, right? But I'm also a believer that these things do exist. I've had my own weird experiences. Like I've played with
Mhm.
Ouija boards, and it showed that's probably going to be the Ouija board, the Halloween special. I think we're going to talk about the Ouija board. It's kind of like a Strange Brew redo, since I have 3 of them. And I was thinking about like, oh, maybe at the end of the episode we'll play around with it a bit, and then actually listen to Gordo talk about it. And he was like, I'm not messing around with that stuff. He's like, I don't want to bring anything around me. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't do that. Like, I know my fiance would be pissed because she doesn't want anything in the house. But I'm like, will it actually open a door? Like, really, like when I was a kid, we used to believe it, but will it actually do this? And I was like, you know what? We'll shut it out, save for a Patreon episode, and I'll do it at Billy's house. And then at least if his house is fucking haunted, but then you have the idea that spirits can attach to you. Like when I was using Ouija board when I was younger, it said 9 spirits were attached to me, and some were good and some were bad. 9 spirits that said were like just hung on and hung around me, and I was like, it's fucking strange.
And you know what, right? Again, and when I said that there, I didn't mean it to come across like that's what I believe, that, you know, people
Yeah,
just manifest like fake things about hauntings or anything like that. But on the topic of a Ouija board, it's something I've always wanted to do and kind of mess around with because I'm I suppose equal parts fascinated and scared about the idea of like, is this just like my fucking mind or
mind.
some other like normal shit? In the
Yeah.
sense of like, you know, can I just very lightly communicate with something, or is this other side that people talk about where it's like, oh no, don't fucking bring that around?
Yeah, and that's what I'm like, is this like, because I would say play, but I used the Ouija board a fuck ton when I was a
Mhm.
kid. And then like I said, the story of my Jamaican aunt, like never played alone. I got obsessed with it. I wouldn't drink and eat. And I was like, I went home, I'm like, you know what? And took a shot, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking play with this by myself and use the Ouija board out of my cat beside me, just chilling. And it's just like, and then I don't know if it's in my mind because start telling me shit about like alien stuff. And then, but I do believe you're able to communicate with people outside of our reality, maybe dead or alive. So it's this idea. And I was like, you know what? If we're going to do this, Billy keeps asking me, he's like, we should do it. I want to do it. I want to fucking see if it's like, if anything happens and stuff like that. I'm like, we can do it at your house because, and then you have the idea that they can attach to you. So maybe I'm driving home from Billy's and then I see a ghost in the road and I'm dead, you know, and I die. And then I'm fucking Bruce Willis in Sixth Sense, you know, like. It's a fucking, the whole ghost thing is strange because I'm so fascinated and like love everything ghosts. Like it's just like ever since I was a kid, that's what, before conspiracy theories or any of that bullshit, I was into the paranormal,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
by
that was
far.
me too. Yeah, the Ouija
Also, I was
board
gonna
thing is
say
something.
this is like vodka and amaretto. That's all that's in here. It's a tall glass of vodka. And I was like, I asked Alexa, I was like, does amaretto mix with vodka? And then she's like, you shouldn't, but some people do. And I was like, that's a weird answer, Alexa. I asked her the dumbest questions, like, will this booze mix with this booze?
I'm surprised you even got an answer.
And you got Heineken, right? You're drinking on some Heineken?
Yeah, I'm just playing Heineken today.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, I don't know. The Ouija board is something that like I always said that I would like to mess around with it, and I know some people would probably take offense to me saying something like that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I would like to do some stuff with it because I am so intrigued by the fact of like, but the other side of that is I know so many people who how would I classify them? like do not believe, not even skeptics, but just don't believe in any paranormal or spirits or
No, and
ghosts.
we just did a crossover episode with Bewitched
Mhm.
Banter, and one chick is super skeptical and the other's a believer, like super skeptical, where she was like actually like getting on me about, because I believe everything happens for a reason. She's like, that's a privileged thing to say. And so like I love them, but the thing is like we kind of went back and forth a little bit, and she has like doesn't believe in ghosts at all. And I'm like, it's strange to me with like, especially with someone like I can be skeptical, but with someone that has messed around, seen some weird stuff, it is always strange. There's people that like, well, I don't believe in ghosts. And it's like, well, if you don't really believe in ghosts, it means you don't really believe in your spirit. You got a spirit, or like that this is not like, I believe this is just a vessel. Your body's just a vessel. And when you die, you leave this vessel and you either go to another one or you go to higher levels of dimensions. There's a lot of shit to that in general.
Mhm.
But I always just find it weird. It's like, so you don't believe you have a soul? Like you just think we're just these bags of meat and then we die? And it's a scary thought because it literally gives life no purpose. Nothing. There's no purpose here, because if you die and that's it, then it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter that fucking what Hitler did or Ted Bundy or fucking Jeffrey Dahmer. It doesn't matter, because when they die, that's it. You know, it's a fucking scary thought, the
A-
existentialism.
and it is, and I think when you start to think like that, everything expands and kind of like uh links off to each other. So then you start to connect all these other things, like theories about the pyramids and aliens and
Well, all this stuff that just doesn't make sense. How can
yeah,
you
and
like
it's
make
just
all this shit make sense if you believe that there's no like
yeah,
afterlife?
it's just like, and that's the part that like sometimes I try to play, I think, more of the skeptical side of my mind and
Yeah.
go, okay, right, let's just say for talk's sake, we're just born, you work 9 to 5 every day and like eat shit, die
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I was like,
Work,
it
buy, consume, die.
yeah, I was like, but it doesn't make sense either though. As much as like
No.
people might say, oh yeah, but ghosts and UFOs and aliens and reptiles and stuff, that doesn't really make sense to me. It's far-fetched. And it's like, okay, but also could you explain to me then the point of anything?
Yeah, there it would be no point. And that's why it gets into these deep conversations, which we should definitely like bring this up maybe on the live show. It's just discuss like the whole idea of existentialism and the ghosts and stuff like that. And before we get into this, for the YouTubers, let's watch one more video. This one's slightly longer, but has some strange shit going on. Sorry, that's fucked. Unmute yourself. I don't know if it's gonna. It won't do anything. This one's weird. Just through, like, and who knows if any of these videos are even real. But it's fun to believe. Like I said to Anton, it's fun to believe in the fantastical.
And you know what as well, like
What the fuck? What the fuck? What were you gonna say? Oh, whispers, I'll kill you. That's fucking frightening.
yeah, like if I looked on my Ring doorbell or whatever that was, oh dude.
And said, I'll kill you. See, that's weird. The glass shattering, and especially if you're someone that's like, man, I don't even really believe in ghosts, but this happened at my work.
I'm just testing it. See if you were a liar, you might say
Weird.
you were and
Then it just disappears.
Maybe you need a drink from the night.
The
Weird.
amount of times, man, that I used to stay up all night and like watch videos like
Oh,
this
I know.
and be completely like fucking freaked out afterwards.
No, I would do that too. I would just lay in bed, and even sometimes when my girlfriend be when I worked a later shift, I'd sit there and like watch like YouTube videos on my phone, and I would just I like that feeling of being. That's weird, but it could have walked in the other room. That's I don't. This one is not. Unless it actually teleports. It says a teleporting kitty. That was fucking not really worth it. Huh. See, and it's like, who knows if any of these are real? But the thing is, if I saw that, and I'd be like, no, this is fucking real. Like, those people are like, man, like, I saw what I saw. Like, this is fucking creepy. But yeah, I used to sit up all night and watch all, like, the top 20 creepiest videos on YouTube. And, like, it's the feeling of being scared without dying. I always put it that way. Like, if you're skydiving, you have the possibility of death, and it's extremely frightening. That's weird. And then...
That's weird.
That's fucking weird. It looks like a creature.
And there's a purse.
See, again, I would love to do these kinds of things.
What the fuck? I saw. Is that?
Is that a face or some
Yeah, I
shit?
saw that. Is that her though filming? But that's her camera, so we would show her face.
Ugh.
That actually gave me the creeps. Like I don't know how they would have added that in. Like why would you take the time to?
Oh, and it's
That
the
fucking
expression as
face,
well.
how it changes. That is fucking crazy. It looks like some Conjuring shit.
Dude, the
Great.
noise of her voice slowed down there gave me a fucking heart attack.
Really?
I didn't, because it sounded like it was behind
That
me.
is fucking weird. That is fucking by far, for sure, the creepiest one that I've seen. What the fuck? Look in the corner.
Yeah,
It's like something
man.
walking.
the hairs are literally standing up on my 2 arms and neck.
What the fuck? That'd
Nope.
be weird.
Nope.
Yeah. Have you seen that yet? Nope.
No, it's not out here until the 12th, and I cannot wait to see it. Am I going to be disappointed?
It's good. It's different. It's really different, but it's good. I would like to do Unreal review about it, or we could actually talk about it for your show, if you'd like, because it's.
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah.
I want to talk about the whole dynamic of the movie. So once it comes out there, let me know and we'll do it for your
Yeah.
show because it's
Yeah.
fucking
Cool.
strange. We can talk about Jordan Peele in general. See what the fuck? See, and like, have you seen the original, The Changeling?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have the wheelchair. That scene always gets me. Like the wheelchair falling down the fucking stairs. That's weird. Ghost child. What the fuck? And like you could always say, oh, it's someone pulling you with a string. Okay, you could always say that, but it's like it's fun to.
Right, and as much of like, you know, I might have the skeptical side about some things, for some reason every time I watch stuff like this, my brain defaults to, oh, holy
I
shit.
know. Holy fuck, yeah. And that's always like, I like Ghost Adventures. I do. I always make fun of Zach Baggins, but the thing is, I do think that I saw the thing is I saw an orb while all the chairs were moving, an orb shot out. And see the things with hauntings, right? Is like, I've caught orbs of my own. Like I've caught like crazy orbs. Like I've said this before, like on the podcast before for sure. But like me and my fiance were out and we were walking over this bridge, and we got 2 pictures, and it's a green orb, which is supposed to be like a nature spirit. And we were outside, and the orb and 2 pictures fucking moved. I posted on Instagram a while ago on the Strange Brew Podcast Instagram, and it moved from one place to the other. Like you could clearly see, and when you zoom in, it looks like some plasma thing. And the thing is too, when we were out, we were drinking in Niagara, and I was drunk, and we had a photo, and it was me. I was naked taking a piss. And there's like a cutout, right? Where you know how like in hotel rooms they have like the jacuzzi thing where you can sit in the bathtub and watch TV, and it's got the opening shutter door kind of thing. And I was taking a piss, and my girlfriend was like joking, taking a snap of a picture of me, and behind me is this like red ball, like and you can zoom in, you can see that it looks like plasma, like this weird texture. And red is supposed to be bad. And I was at a bad time in my life. I was drinking a lot, doing a lot of crazy shit. I was young, and it's like there's no blemishes in the photo. There's nothing, and this red ball was right behind me. And you think about it, you're a hotel. How many people stay there? How much energy resonates at a hotel? And honestly, it'd be a good place for some sort of succubus or like some sort of ghost to, like, you know what I mean? Have you ever seen orbs? I caught tons of orbs on camera.
Yeah, and that's another thing. And sometimes people give me shit for saying stuff like this. And I've actually, one of the things that's on my my list,
yeah,
for this episode, is a place that I've actually had like personal experiences with several times. The idea of, you know, going to a certain area or location, and there's like that energy change.
yeah,
I really do believe in that in certain circumstances. I've been in places where I've been like, I don't know, maybe this is just my mind, or maybe I'm like fucking schizophrenic or something, but there's something not right here.
Yeah, and like to bring it
Doesn't
up
feel
again,
good.
right? I told you that I had that friend that was schizophrenic. Like
Mhm.
that, and I just always thought that he saw shit that I couldn't see, and he's the one that showed me how to use the Ouija board. He was like, "You took a shot glass, you read numbers, alphabet." He told me the chant: "Air, fire, water, earth, elements of the astral birth. I
Mhm.
call upon whoever now. Enter, only good may enter, only good may leave by 3 times 3 or whatever." And it's just like I always like it was just weird that I had a schizophrenic friend. He always believed a ghost was choking him, and then he showed me how to use the Ouija board. And then it was like all my friends. There would be like 6 of us at lunchtime in grade 7. This will be for the Ouija board episode, but it is we got obsessed with it. I did.
And just on the topic of that, actually, because I have somebody in my family, I think I said this before, who's schizophrenic, and um, there's multiple times, and not just with schizophrenia. There's lots of other mental disorders and stuff like that. Um, why does it always seem to be, shit surrounding paranormal or these like bizarre experiences? Like you never I in my personal experience, like I never heard him, come in and say, oh, fucking Barney the dinosaur was like trying to contact me, or the Teletubbies were outside the window.
Yeah.
It was always this like kind of fucking weird shit about um like my great grandmother and stuff. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I seen her last night." I'm like, what?
Who's this?
My uncle is a schizophrenic,
Oh, really? Oh, that's crazy.
and
See, and
like,
that's why I think that their brains are wired differently, and much like that whole thing is like I was going to talk about say that earlier. Is like like if you do mushrooms right in a haunted
mhm,
place, because you were talking about, it's like would you like see the entities there? Like my buddy's done DMT, and he swears he sees like he saw entities, like and he said this saw the same one like in 3 different trips, and I was like, that's fucked. Because
and
is
that
your
one I
uncle
would
seeing something?
absolutely. And some people probably say like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" I would love to experiment with things like that. I would love
Yeah,
to
me too. Me
take
too.
DMT and go to places like that and have those experiences and just see.
Oh man, on mushrooms in a haunted place, the energy and the aura and the things you would probably see would like you would need, I feel like 2 people on mushrooms and like 3 people that
Yeah,
were just completely sober to just snap you out of it if need be. But if you could be like, okay, there's something standing beside you, and then something happened, like it almost, if for the sober people, it would prove that mushrooms, it's almost like an experiment to see if it does allow you to see beyond the veil. Like, and that's why it does suck. And we're gonna get into the episode now. But like how when me and Aaron get into episodes, like because we're gonna know each other, we're chatting, and we always have a lot of banter at the beginning because I'm like I like picking your brain, I like your thoughts, I like
likewise.
be able to kind of see like it would be interesting. It sucks we're so far apart because me and Anton, like I've talked about, like we gotta get into Buffalo, we gotta do some like haunted tour things, and like I have the spirit box, which I'm debating if I can maybe bring it out for like the Ouija board episode and just see if we can get anything to speak to us just slightly. Even if it could get to say Billy's name or something like that. Like if I can, because I've heard it say my name twice in the same female voice, but then according to Bewitch banter, it's just like if you want to hear something, you'll hear it. And I'm like, it said Thomas it like 3 times in the same voice. So I'm like, am I really looking for it? Because I didn't think anything was gonna happen, and then it did. So it's like it's hard. Like I want to be skeptic, but I'm really not. I'm a believer, and I don't give a shit.
Likewise, I will sometimes try and play devil's advocate, but
Yeah,
ultimately, um, and I often say like, "Oh, I don't know what I believe,"
yeah,
which is true to a degree because I
me too.
I'm
I'm like,
so
what? I don't
fascinated by
know.
so many different ideas
Mhm.
that I really don't know what to believe, but I believe in something.
No, and that's the same with me. Like I'm like I've seen weird shit. It is this like the human mind is strange, but I think there's stranger things out there. And let's get into the hauntings now of all these
Mhm.
different places. This is kind of like our little banter that the fans listen and see and stuff like that. You'll get that for live shows and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff coming with Class Horrorcast and Strange Brew together. There's gonna be a lot of fun stuff. So we're gonna get into the most haunted places in Ireland and Canada. It's kind of like a versus, see who's got the more hauntings. I'm sure you do, because Ireland is slightly older than Canada, but then you have obviously the indigenous stuff, and it's just like you didn't get rid of you got rid of the graves, but you didn't get rid of the bodies. Like it's just like that we have this cult, like we just killed, we genocided tons of natives, so it probably is, the blood is soaked into the land. But obviously let us know too. You can send us an email at strangebrewpodcast@gmail.com. Obviously you have shout out your email and tell us what you think the most haunted places are too.
Mine is Aran, so it's ARAN at classhorrorcast.com.
Yeah, and
That's my
send us your
email.
stuff. So if you know of a haunting case you like us to cover, especially on the classy stranger episodes, let us know. Like we want to know the fans' thoughts and stuff like that too. So
Even if
yeah,
anybody's had a personal
experience.
experience with some sort of haunting, it'd be interesting to get some people to maybe email and reach out to us, and maybe we can read them out on a show.
Man, you fucking read my mind. I was thinking about this before we did this episode, for Patreon subscribers, to drive people towards that too, is having people send in their own experiences. It doesn't have to be too long. It can be long if you want, but send us an email and describe the ghost experience you had, and we will do a whole episode on Patreon, and we'll go back and forth and talk about the stories that we got from both of our emails and stuff. So like
I have
I would love for
I
that
have a,
to do that.
I have a really good friend who has a podcast called Monster Fuzz Podcast, and they cover like
Yeah.
cryptids and stuff. And they started to do like uh like a, not a fan mail, like a listener mail episode every now and again, like maybe
Yeah.
once a month, once every 6 weeks. And they came up with, so what they'll do is they'll read through the people's stories, and then it's all like, I saw this creature, I think I might have seen like a Bigfoot footprint and different things like that. And they basically, at the end of each story, they do like, is this a sighting or a shiting? And like
What's
decide,
buddy's name? I know who you're talking about.
Rob Billington is his name.
Yeah, Rob Billington. Yeah, that's yeah, he's good shit. I really enjoy his like comedic timing with some stuff, and just like his like kind of jokiness in some
He's quite
episodes
fun.
like that. So we're gonna kind of go 2 for 1, 2 for 1, because you got long cases. So
Yep.
the Tranquil Sanatorium, this is in British Columbia, looming at the edge of Camp Loops, which border in British Columbia. It's this is which is strange that even I mentioned like Indigenous and Native. So this is very close to like a lot of like essentially like reservations and stuff like that. And it's an abandoned sanitarium, which is like, it's more or less like where you send crazy people. Or that's sanitarium, isn't that more like a hospital, but like for crazy people?
Yeah, so I always wonder this as well, and maybe it's just because it is the association with it now, but like things like sanatorium and stuff, I was like, that's such like,
Is that like
some
we're
sort
gonna
of, like,
make you sane?
potentially, yeah. Let me see.
It was built in 1907. Its original purpose was to treat patients with tuberculosis, which it did until 1958, and then it was used for the mentally ill, disabled until the building was closed permanently in 1983. But that's what I'm saying, is like it's a weird thing where it's just like, okay, we started this as to treat patients of tuberculosis, and then it seems like when they started noticing how crazy people were, which I don't know if it has to do with anything of the big pharmaceutical companies and stuff like that and the way people's brains work, but it's just like, it just seemed like all of a sudden within, I don't know, at a certain time period, they're like, all right, there's too many crazy people. They need to be locked away. Because I guess before you just shoot him, but I don't know if that's...
Here's something I didn't know. So they were used for the treatment of specific diseases and related ailments. The healing of things like tuberculosis, before the discovery of antibiotics, alcoholism, and
That's
in a lot
weird.
of cases, more obscure addictions and longings of hysteria, masturbation, fatigue, and emotional exhaustion.
What the fuck? It's like, yo, bro, you're jerking off too much. We're sending you to the sanatorium. That's fucking is quite strange that they're like, all right, you drink too much. And the thing is, back in the day, everybody drank and everybody smoked, and it wasn't like frowned upon. Like doctors would be smoking a cigarette while they're next to a pregnant lady. She's also smoking a cigarette while they're like making sure the baby's okay. It's just like, you know,
it makes me wonder, is it like what we didn't we talk about this before with somewhere, and basically it was like a place where if chicks got pregnant and stuff like that, and they'd be like, well, guess you're off to the hospital, you won't be coming back anytime soon. It makes me wonder, like, is it a place like that where, you know, obviously if you're a doctor, a lawyer, or like a well-to-do, you can kind of do whatever you want, but if you're just some like Joe Schmo who's like an alcoholic.
Well, if it's kind of weird, right? Because if you think about it, right, they used to just think women were crazy because they're on their, like, you know, women get fucking when they're on their period, they get a little spastic. Sorry for all female listeners. Like, it is true in our history that me and Billy were just making a joke on the Peter Woodcock episode that will be released before this one. And it's a serial killer in Canada. And we were joking about, he's like, you know, you'd see women, you know, they're all at the hospital. One's got a black eye and, you know, one's got a broken arm. And it's just like, did you spill the beer? Did you spill the beer? Like, and how back then it was like accepted. You would just like, women would deal with the, I'm being out of honesty, like women would deal with horrific situations, like very horrific situations. And check this fucking place out though. Like, it looks creepy. And when
why do they always have to make them look like something out of a horror movie?
This is it now.
Oh, dude, what the fuck?
It looks haunted. And I know for the YouTube listeners, we are showing pictures. So go look this stuff up and we bring it up for the audio listeners, because I think you'll be intrigued. People visiting the site have reported hearing voices of kids playing, kids crying, and mysterious orbs near the entrance. An apparent overwhelming sense of eeriness hangs over the multiple buildings, which have mysterious tunnels connecting many of them underground. The site is currently operated by Tranquil Farm Fresh, which is fucking strange, which offers tours and even an escape room of sorts in abandoned tunnels for Halloween. And I think that's kind of fucking cool. I love horror, like haunted houses. I would love to do ghost tours. I want to start doing it for like the Patreon. Is like, I really want to, if Billy's ever free, I said, like, let's get out Niagara, Hamilton, let's go to these places and go for like ghost walks. And like, just like, and I was like, they'll probably let you film, but like, kind of like, I have this, like, I don't know if it works more. I used to have this, one of the mics you have like, can clip on your shirt and kind of like go through it, because like going into this place, and it says it has multiple buildings, and it's like one of those things you see on Ghost Adventures, right? Where it's just like this massive property, and they have like, this is the building for the crazy women, this is the building for the schizophrenics, this is the build, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's a place actually not far from here, and it was only like decommissioned and closed down a couple of years back, called St. Senans, and that was actually where my uncle was housed for years.
Yeah, dude, didn't you say this on the Haunted Ontario episode?
If you look up that St. Senans mental hospital, it's fucking terrifying. It's
and why do they all have underground tunnels? Have you seen at least the first couple seasons of American Horror Story?
Yeah, of course.
You know, like with the second one, they have the underground tunnels in the insane asylum, and they always have this. And you know, there's always like, oh, they're bringing bodies down there because there's some patients either would maybe kill each other, or you have nurses that would kill each other. And I can't remember what episode we're talking about. We're talking about how like even it was the Peter Woodcock episode, because me and Billy just covered that. Is like there would be like there would be some places, right, where the nurses would like fuck the patients, especially back in the day. And this was like during the 40s and 50s.
So bizarre. And it makes me wonder, it's like, who should be in these fucking places? Like,
you know, the thing is, like, I don't know, you got this crazy guy, maybe he's got a hog on him or something. Then the nurse is like, she's like, it happens too. Like, there was a case about this guy that died, and supposedly he had like massive wang, and all these nurses like were showing all the other nurses. Like, I think he either died or he was unconscious during surgery, and they were just showing everybody, like, come check out this guy's dick in room fucking 406. Like there's stuff like this all the time. I know it is, but the thing is, and my mom's a nurse and my grandma was a nurse. I feel like they don't have morbid what's that? Morbid fascinations, or like I'm trying to think of the word, like where it's like comedy, like morbid comedy kind of thing, like where I'm sure if you're in that job for long enough, you kind of find humor, like morbid humor in those environments, because you kind of have to. It's the same thing when you talk about, the Jewish people and the Holocaust, being at concentration camps and making jokes, and trying to make light of dark situations. What's his name that made Spaceballs? What can I think of his name? Why can't I think of this? Spaceballs. He did not Monty Python. He's one of the dudes, and he had that whole doc about it. Oh, that's gonna fucking bother me. But he had the whole doc about like dark humor and how you'd have to make light of dark situations. Man, as soon as you say it, I'm gonna be like, why can't I fucking think of this? I guess I could have brought it up. You seem faster on the dial.
I thought it was
Mel Brooks. Oh, thank you. Someone in the chat came out. Mel Brooks, and Mel Brooks did the whole documentary about like how it's just like the comedy, how you just have to make light of situations. And now we're living in the time era where everyone's offended. So we live in a strange time, but it's fucking weird. Like this shit happened, and probably still happens. Like, you have people like Angels of Death, which would be a fun episode talking about, I don't know about fun, but interesting is, but the nurses that like kill people and stuff like that. So we'll get to the next one. The Dungervon. What's up? Wait, give me a second. What? What happened? Okay, okay. This will get edited out later, but yeah, my someone my fiance knows in her family just died, like literally just died, and it's just weird that we're doing this episode like about hauntings and stuff. It's just like she's clearly visibly upset because it's fucked. Like death comes out of fucking nowhere, as we can tell with these cases. So like fucking crazy how this happened during this episode. So the Dungervon Woods. This is in Blackville. This shit is strange. Okay, this is like a whole fucking forest. It is crazy. What was the spelling of the hospital that Aaron's uncle was at? Someone wants to know in the chat.
It's Saint Senans, so it's ST obviously for short.
Yeah,
and then SENANS.
So crazy. I would have brought that up, but like,
am I able to? Oh no, I can't.
Yeah, you can chat back to people in the chat.
No, it doesn't let me.
It should. Billy fucking realized he could do it when he was online, because I can
chat in the private chat, but when I click on the comments, it just shows me the comments. And
oh, that's weird. I spelled wiener wrong, but that's okay. I'm gonna have to edit some of this even for the video. Like that's what I'm saying. Twitch gets everything kind of raw because I'll probably cut this down a little bit. But so the Dungervon Woods. This is in Blackville. That's a stereotypical name, but I don't think it's. And I feel like it's almost like the last names, like Smith is based on blacksmith. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe this is like everyone just worked there. It was like worked on metal swords or something. I don't fucking know. But like, this is a weird place because it's the entire forest, deep in the forest in central New Brunswick, Canada. The ghost of a murdered lodger reportedly cries out in the night. The story follows a man known as Ryan, who was a cook at the lodging camp at the Dungervon Woods in Blackville. One day, he was left alone with his boss of the camp, and the other lodgers went out into the forest. Okay, and when the lodgers returned, they discovered Ryan had been fucking murdered, which is strange.
So what do you do?
I'm into murders and executions mostly.
And then they said that the boss claimed he became suddenly ill and died. They buried him nearby, and at that night, that same night, screams and loud like whooping noises echoed through the camp, which would scare the living shit out of me. Like,
So,
and look at the entrance to this like forest. They have this like, that's the whooper.
oh, weird.
And yeah, and and that's him. That's the cook. Weird. Back in the day, look, he used to have a frying pan. Now he doesn't.
You imagine if you look through the fucking trees and you seen that face.
Whoop whoop. It looks like he's sucking a dick now. For all the audio listeners, so it's a picture of like this guy in a barrel, and he's got his hand over his mouth, almost like he's like I don't know, whooping. But the thing is, it looks like the perfect shape for a dick. And it's fucking, this is weird. I'd love to go here. I've only been out west once. But the weird thing is the noises continued the next day, and the camp and then the camp was abandoned after a while, and like the noises still persisted. Like people weren't there, and then people show up maybe to do cleanup and stuff like that. And years later, when a different group of lodgers wanted to use the camp, they started hearing the same noises. And it's called and I've heard this before. Like, I'm sure there's more to this story, which I don't know if maybe we'll cover, or maybe for a Patreon episode, do like a mini-sode episode. The Dunger Von Woods. Like, I've heard about the Whooper, the Dunger Von Whooper. And it's like, whoop, 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 whoop. Like, it reminds me of like the fucking Three Stooges. And most kids won't even know what that is nowadays. But like, it just reminds me of that weird. And eventually, eventually a fucking priest was brought in, like it's the fucking poltergeist. And exorcist, and was put Ryan's spirit to rest. There's different accounts about it, but some reports saying the scream stopped when the priest was successful, but others say that when the skeleton was unearthed, the priest began his work. The screams got louder and the priest ran. Screams and whoops are still heard to this day. Fucking strange.
So, a sound like that seems pretty I suppose pretty comical, and people will be like, "Oh, it don't really be that scary."
Weird.
Okay, so you're standing in the middle of the woods,
And you're whoop 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 whoop.
dude. I'd be running like it. So
They say
probably
Bigfoot makes it sound like that.
which is also, dude. I listened to some of those apparent audio recordings or whatever from some of those.
It's fucking weird,
dude. I was like fucking frozen in the seat, going, "Wait, what?" And when they do that. You probably know what it is, but that thing when they're like communicating and they're like talking in tongues and shit, and then they're able to like replicate.
It's fucking weird. And you know what?
This is the place where the dead speak.
It's fucking weird. Like there's some weird shit. All right. What do you got? What do you got first for Ireland?
So the first one is something I actually covered years ago. When I first started a YouTube channel, I had like top 5 haunted places in Ireland or something like that. So it's Cork District Mental Hospital, or it was known as the Lunatic Asylum. Again, like I always feel like that's such like an ominous sounding thing, like Lunatic Asylum. Straight away, that has me doing like bad shit.
It's massive.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so big, and it's crazy how huge. Everyone go look this up. You can look up Elgin, even Cork Asylum. It's fucking so huge. Elginton.
Yeah, it's so it was opened in 1789. It was at the time it was the second only asylum in Ireland.
I guess that's why it's so big. It's just like so many of you guys fucking drunk off the rocker.
So many lunatics in Ireland. So back then, people were sent to asylums for anything that authorities considered a sign of mental illness, including swearing, masturbation.
I was gonna say. I literally was gonna say jerking off in public.
Adultery, and genuine undiagnosed illnesses.
So they're saying that back in the day, they're gonna send you to the asylum. Say your mom catches you jerking off. They're like, "All right, to the asylum you go."
See, I really don't get that, right? Like, I can't understand how that comes about. Like, is it a case where,
right? Like very religious back in the day?
Like, is it a case of, if you just jerk off, like, I suppose, at like a normal
Yeah.
occurrence, but then did you have to be jerking off like 50 times a day and have like a fucking a we we would call it here a dog's Mickey?
A dog's Mickey. I want
Yeah,
to learn the slang, man. I'll teach you some
or
Canadian.
a lipstick. So like, did you ever see a dog's dick and it's like a
Yeah.
lipstick?
Ew, man. Fucking not cool.
That's what I'm saying though. If you jerk off that much, that your dick ends up looking like a fucking little lipstick.
Call it a hairy hand. Your palms are hairy, but nowadays everyone's manscaping, so it doesn't really matter. You don't have no hairy palms.
Um, so unmarried, this is kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier. Unmarried mothers were sent here too and forced to wash away their sins by doing tasks like laundry for up to 12 hours a day.
That is fucking psychotic.
That's so bizarre.
You're gonna, you know what? You didn't do your housely duties and you displeased your man. You gotta do laundry for 12 hours
A day.
And these things existed. People forget how fucking crazy history is,
Like,
especially when it comes to the treatment of women.
Like imagine that, like, you've got I don't know, it says unmarried mothers. So like, let's say you've got a chick who you're after like getting pregnant or whatever, and you're like, you know what, bitch, you're annoying me. Time to commit you to the asylum.
And then you have to do it, and then she's like, shit. And then you're doing all like, and if this is an asylum, right? You're doing laundry for people who shit themselves, piss themselves, throw up, do like, you know what I mean? Like it's back in the day, because you deprive these people that had mental illnesses and stuff like that. They would do things like throw their poo poo. And if you think about that documentary by that, I can see his face, Mustache Man. What the fuck is his name? The guy that did the Satanic Panic. Oh fuck! What the fucking goddamn shit was his fucking name? He's a very famous. Oh man, I can fucking hear his name in the back of my head. You know when you have that when you're looking like, oh, it's gonna fucking drive me insane. And he went to the asylum, and this was like, I feel like 60s, and he did. Man, it's gonna drive me fucking insane.
Is that where they have the footage and it's like some of the scariest shit I think I've ever seen?
Yes.
That is hard. Like, that is truly, like, every time I see that,
why can't I think of this?
Gives me chills.
What the fuck is his name? Satanic.
I looked that up not that long ago as well. I
want to say Satanic Panic
like
eventually.
Children of something or something children,
Oh
maybe.
yeah. Rambaldo. What the fuck is his name? I can see. I can't find it, but now I'm like, it's coming to me. Is his name like Rambaldo? Something like that. It's just that mustache guy that did all those fucking whack ass documentaries. Someone's gonna scream at me, but it's okay. That's fucking weird. Fuck, that's gonna bother me. But like he does that whole dog, and like people like shaking in the corners.
Yeah,
it's beyond disturbing. And he's like, you know, this is what happens. And they just like locked people away, and then they didn't pay the tenant, or I guess like nurses, you could call them, or whatever, the people that the doctors and stuff like well enough. And they just kind of like, it is very reminiscent of the second season of American Horror Story. You know what I mean?
100%. So the building was founded by a man by the name of William Saunders Halloran, the first Irishman to write a book on psychiatry. He also invented something known as Halloran's chair. Now, this thing is fucking psychotic. So a patient would be strapped tightly to a chair, which would then rotate at a speed of 100 rotations a minute. This was an extremely popular treatment at the asylum, thought to cure just about anything at the time. The common practice of torture in madhouses of the time included chaining up the patients, isolating them, bloodletting, and inducing vomiting. The chair was popular because it induced vomiting without the use of drugs.
What the fuck? So they like were training you to go to space?
So like they would put you in this like weird, like it kind of looked like an electric chair.
And they would spin you like fast as fuck.
Yeah, you would be like, say, like you would have like a metal thing holding your forehead and your arms and stuff. And then this thing would rotate 100 times a minute. And they,
you know how fast that is for everybody? You know how fast that is? That is extremely fast.
And like, but it wasn't just like you went in it for 60 seconds, like just for 100 rotations. Like you could be left in this thing for like an hour.
You're driving people mad
Mhm.
by trying to get rid of their madness. Like
Yep.
that is fucking crazy. And
Like,
the thing
you
is, like, it's like, what are you doing? Astronaut training? Like you're gonna make these people worse.
like that's what I was just as I was like researching this because I had obviously heard of this before. I was kind of thinking like, if someone grabbed me, I feel like relatively sane.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
if someone were to grab me right now and strap me to a chair and do that to me, like how
For
would that
half an
affect?
hour.
Yeah, like how would it affect somebody that like I would class myself as like
Irrational. Yeah.
quite like just an average person. What
Sane.
would that actually do?
I think it would fuck you up. And I think that you create crazy people, right?
Mhm.
The same way you have these serial killers that have an inkling for maybe some sadist crazy things, and then they get beat by their dad. And then it just drives that and makes it worse. And then you're creating a serial killer. Like it's fucking crazy. And there obviously there's hauntings to do with this place with all the turmoil, I guess you could say that resonated there.
So the facility didn't close down completely until the 1960s, and over the years, many claim to have experienced paranormal activity here. Apparitions of former inmates have been seen wandering the corridors.
For
Ghostly
sure.
nurses have been seen sobbing, but
Jerking off the patients.
it's the terrible noises on the second floor where the treatment rooms were that are most distressing.
Well, no
Uh,
shit, man.
Wretched screams and hopeless moans, and the mad clatter of chains as if abandoned
Fuck.
souls still struggle wildly to free themselves from their eternal suffering.
And the thing is, Kate, you have the idea, right? We've talked about it before, where either it's you have people that had died there and don't know where to go. Sometimes you don't even know you're dead. You're caught in this astral world, especially maybe. But I feel like if when you die, you free yourself of these handicaps, you could say, or disabilities, because I
Mhm.
feel like that's part of the physical body's ailments. And that's why I always and somebody called me an ableist for this on a review. The host is an ableist piece of trash, is what somebody called me, because I had the idea that when you come into this world and you have certain disabilities, you're coming into a broken vessel, a broken body. Does that make sense to you?
Mhm.
Like if you like, that's where I'm like, you're coming into the world and like, and I have sympathy for everybody. I'm very empathetic in every way. And microdosing has helped me do that too. It's just like, it is, I'm like, I've had that thought. It's like you're being incarnated, because I believe in reincarnation, into a broken vessel. And it might be, it's definitely for a learning lesson. For all these books I've been reading recently and listening to,
Mhm.
it's like a lesson. You're here to learn lessons. That's what life is all about, is to learn lessons while you're here. So if you're coming into a broken body, so imagine, and then then you get stuck in this reality. But there's also the idea of residual hauntings, is that it's such a dark, disturbing thing. Like it's so, the energy there, because of how many people were tortured and confined and subjected to torturous means while trying to make you sane, but it would make you worse. You could have that imprint of that emotional residency inside of this place. You know what I
I
mean?
and it ties into like what I was saying before about an energy in a place. There's certain places that I've been. There's lots of places I would love to visit just to see if
So
I get that feeling. But I've been to places where I've been like, "Phew, this like feels like some heavy shit. It doesn't
we
just
used to
feel like
play ball there in
spooky
Vancouver.
house.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Old houses. We had a buddy that is like old ass house in this small town, and in the basement it was just like all rocks and like weird like it was almost like carved out because of how old it
Mm,
was. It was so strange. Um, is that all the hauntings? I got Sea Island next.
yep, yep. That's all for
So
me.
the Sea Island, this is quite strange. I try to find the most haunted places. This is Sea Island is located off the coast of Nova Scotia, where Trailer Park Boys is from, for people that know. It's haunted by a woman named Annie Lindsay. Lindsay was a stewardess aboard the SS Ottawa. Um, and that sounds like fucking plane Trudeau flies around on, which was shipwrecked near Seal Island. She drowned Oh my god, I wrote down a sea. It's like sea. It's Seal Island. So I'm assuming there was tons of seals there, and the pirates thought there were mermaids and then fucked them. But you ever heard that story, right? That fucking they thought that the pirates are going so crazy they thought they were seeing mermaids, but it was actually like seals or walruses.
That's so fucked up.
So Lindsay was a stewardess aboard the SS Ottawa and was shipwrecked near Seal Island. She drowned in a lifeboat and was trying to reach safety. Several days later, she was buried on the island. Her ghost had been seen many times wandering on the island. Her spirit stands on the shore, looking ominously out to the sea before vanishing. Reportedly, when her grave was disinterred. So okay. So when they dug up her body for some strange reason, I don't know why they did this. When they dug up her body, right? They realized that she was buried alive.
Ugh.
Like, what the fuck, man?
That's fucking strange.
That's like it. That's fucking crazy. And the fact that like you would, man, like, and I want to get into this too. And I think it would be fun to kind of do as a crossover episode for both of our podcasts is talk about like being buried alive and how often that did happen.
The idea of that, man,
Happened a
is
lot.
horrifying.
You were dead! I saw you die! I used ninja focus to slow my heart rate down.
So frightening though. And that's why like and for people that don't know and maybe the younger generation, they used to have bells.
Mhm.
In graveyards, they used to have bells for if somebody maybe because they did this so often. There's a famous story that I think the lore did, folklore that lore pretty famous thing. It's on Prime, stuff like that. How this sister kept having premonitions. How her sister, like she saw her sister was still alive, and then they undug her grave. They pulled everything out, and they realized there were scratch marks on the top of the coffin. Like that's fucking beyond scary because you have claustrophobia, and then you have the feeling of suffocation, and you slowly die. And that's why there is places. It was at like one of the wax museums in Niagara Falls. Is like where they would have like almost like a periscope where you could see into the grave. Okay. And they used to have this shit where, and this is real, where they had the bell too, but they also had like this, like almost like a spyglass type of thing looking, and you would look into the grave. So the groundskeeper, Willie, would go around and he would like make sure everything was good. And you would check inside the grave to make sure everyone was dead. But imagine looking into that fucking hole and what you would see. Like, okay, first of all, imagine just seeing dead bodies scary enough. But
Yeah.
imagine like you look down that hole and you see this woman or man freaking
freaky.
out. Like, and then the time you would take you to like dig up the grave, they'd probably be dead by the time you did it anyway.
Yeah, and I had seen
So
some stuff about that before, and they say like, you know, if somebody's buried alive like that, once you realize that and you start to freak out, you're basically at that point you've nearly wasted all your oxygen.
Yes, because you're like,
Yeah.
and like you're breathing in because you're fucking freaking yourself out. There is obviously there's that magician that did it, like got buried alive, and
Mhm.
this one almost died, I think, or did die. There's like fucking crazy. All right, this one's a little fun case. The old spaghetti factory in Vancouver. Fucking weird. So definitely a pasta meal with a twist. The patrons and staff at this restaurant have reported to seeing at least 4 different ghosts over the years. Opening in 1970, the old spaghetti factory, located above an underground railway track in Gastown neighborhood in Vancouver, is filled with wonderful artifacts and antiques, including an old trolley car, once part of British Columbia's electric railway company's fleet of electric trams. And you know who built the railway, right? The Chinese. So they fucking you just have a bunch of Chinese ghosts trying to yell at English people. I don't know, that's a stupid joke. So they installing the trolley car in the restaurant came with unexpected passengers because who know where they got this trolley car. That's pretty fucking cool though that they did this. I think overall this is just a cool, like that's pretty cool that they used in like an old school trolley car that actually existed, made a restaurant into it. Pretty fucking dope. And so there's supposed to be the ghost of a train conductor has been seen many times over the years on the steps of the trolley car. And these are like people that are just coming to eat. And like maybe even like you're out with your buddies and you're drinking, like, let's go to the fucking spaghetti factory, man. We get fucking drunk and then we eat spaghetti until we throw up. Like, because you know what pasta just like sits in your stomach. It's actually good when you're drinking to eat like pasta and stuff like that. It soaks all the alcohol up, right? And so, however, he's not alone though. Other ghosts seen over the years include a mischievous spirit known as Little Red Man. That's weird. A young boy whose name was never whose name was discovered, I guess, by a psychic who had seen him running around the restaurant. This is scary. He's running around okay, this is first weird in general. So a psychic names him the Little Red Man. Sounds like it's a native kid. I don't like in a racist stereotype. It does sound like that, but it doesn't say that she named him that. The psychic named him that, which is strange. But she had seen him running around with empty eye sockets. Like you think about the ghost you see in the Amityville Horror, right? Like that idea of like that kid just staring at you through the stairwell or whatever. I mean, the famous Amityville Horror picture. Right, so fucking weird. And there's also a little girl holding a balloon at the front window. Once the girl apparently even spoke, saying she was waiting for her fucking mother. Like this place seems like it's fucking crazy haunted. Like it's so strange, man.
Like as much as I say, I'd love to visit these places and all. I still would, but if I even saw half of that shit, I would be like fucking freaking out.
The thing is, I love and I feel like you do too. Is like I just love the feeling of like my fiance is the same way. Like she had ghost experiences. She's had weird stuff happen to her, and just like she was also interested by the paranormal young and messed around kind of Ouija boards. And it's like this fascination with like the spooky sides of life. And are people still there, or like? And you can always like. There's also maybe it's a fucking demon. Like, you know, like you had like, I think demons personally are fucking malicious aliens. That's how I view it. Is like, I don't believe in hell. So, and it's hard to, I really don't believe in hell. I think hell is a manifestation of the mind and religious doctrine. And this book I was listening to recently talks about that and how hell is never really mentioned in the Bible to like the fucking, the New Testament. And in ancient cultures, it's never really mentioned. It is to an extent like the underworld, but they could be referencing Hollow Earth. Like there's all these kind of little tidbits of like hell, but there's not really a mention. And when they do mention it in the original like texts, it's not the same thing as what we would view hell as. It just means like below. Or in the earth, and I don't believe in hell. It's just someone who I don't believe that you make all these mistakes and you go to hell. I believe that if you're on your deathbed dying of cancer and you're like, I'm gonna go to hell, I fucking touch that boy. Like it's just like I think that you'll send yourself there. Like you'll put yourself in. I just feel like when you die, you end up like shooting yourself into a dark reality if you don't have any realization. Like there's psychics that talk about people that don't know that they're dead and they wake up and there's like they walk around in this fog of not realizing they've died yet and they're like trying to talk to people that are still alive. Like I believe in the astral world and that you get caught between dimensions, but I don't believe that people just get in hell. Supposedly, like this book I was reading, it's the Law of One, and it talks about all these different experiences and stuff like that. And they say like people like Hitler were here for a reason to change aspects of our reality and confront with everyone gets confronted with certain situations, and that he is like going to spend lifetimes trying to reassess his karma so he can go into the next life. And it's a fuck theory, and most people probably won't believe that, but it's just it's this idea in the book that he now in the afterlife has to like reassess everything and like take a long time before he's able to come back. Like, did you understand how is like
I was always fascinated as well about things like astral projection and stuff like that. Like that's why something like and people might laugh at this a movie like Insidious.
Yes.
The idea, not so much. Obviously, I know it's a bit like obviously Hollywood
Yeah. Of
effects,
course.
but the idea of that you could astral project to these kinds of places, and like the idea of something like The Further, where
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fucking
And no, it is dark. And the crazy thing is, right before Insidious ever existed, right? That film, I heard stories, right, where this idea, and I don't know if it was on Coast to Coast or something like that, but like this idea that somebody died, and one of the versions I think it was from this chick Peggy Kane, and she believed in the reptilians and could reverse speech and stuff like that, and she talked about people being in this astral world, how they would wake up and it would look like our reality but darker. Okay, so it was a lot darker than our reality, but looked semi the same. And how about you? How this guy was traveling to this? It was all weird and dark, and he would go to this abandoned house, and then all this house had different levels of floors of people like partying and people from his life and all this weird shit. The crazy thing is, like I years after or actually before I even heard about this, I had a dream where felt like I was in this astral world, and it was dark. It was much like our reality, but darker, like dreams are, because supposedly you're in your subconscious or whatever. But I was in this old house that had all these different levels of floors, and every level I would like meet people from different parts of my life, and it was like a crazy, one of the most crazy. And I want to do more, like an episode about dreams, more in
that's
depth.
another thing that fascinates me as well. The
It's
idea of
fucking
things I've had so
I
many.
listened to this shit. Like it was like Coast to Coast or some fucking sort of radio station like that, and they talked about how when women supposedly are being possessed by some sort of reptilian creature, they see celebrities. They cast images in people's minds. Men do this too, but usually when men have darker dreams, it is usually a house structure of this old house. And I remember listening to it. I was at my mom living with my mom still. I was like watching this shit on the TV. I was getting ready to go with like fucking the boys or something like that. And I remember hearing that, and I was like, this old house, and there's different levels of this house. And I was like, how the fuck is this saying the exact dream that I've had? That's where it gets weird to me, is these people that experience the same thing. You can't like the same with alien abductions and ghost stories. Like you can't say that it's all made up if people from different parts of the world are experiencing the same exact thing.
Yeah, because that's not even like some weird, like, oh, it's just like coincidence or whatever. It's like, come on now, that's a
Weird.
huge stretch to try to tie those two things together.
Yeah, I'm fuck. I'm just like I'm getting little chills with this stuff. Do your next one, and then I got two more shorter ones. I got a couple of ones to bring it to a close. All mine are pretty short.
So this one is like super short.
Yeah.
So it's a place called Coolbawn House in County
Yeah.
Wexford. So it's about 25 minutes drive from where I'm at right now.
It's a castle.
Yeah. So the derelict shell of this house hides a sinister story that makes it one of Ireland's most haunted places. The house was built on the site of an earlier fire-ravaged property and was burnt to the ground again in 1923 during the Irish Civil War. The story goes that on a dark, stormy night, a young servant girl was watching the wind, rain, and lightning when she was struck by the lightning and killed instantly, supposedly burning her likeness into the glass pane.
Oh, that's fucking freaky.
People say that she still haunts the ruins to this day, and many report to have seen her figure looking out the glassless windows, and some people even reported seeing her charred body roaming the surroundings of the building.
Oh man, that's fucking scary. And the thing is, I was gonna say too, like we started this talking about like, maybe we should do a haunted castle episode of doing all the, which I think we will cover, because like I like leading up to Halloween, giving people creepy stuff to get them in the mood. I love Halloween. I love October. My favorite times of the year always. I love. But you're both horror fans. Like it's just like it's such a time of the year where you're just like you. I always watch horror movies, but getting closer to Halloween, I will fucking watch a shitload. Like this tomorrow, I told my girl I want to go outside, have a fire, and I want to watch. I just got the 4K version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh,
And I
nice.
want to watch that outside by the fire, and then maybe do like a Friday the 13th movie after, so we can kind of like drink and talk and stuff like that. Cause it's not like, but I just want to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the screen. It's like a 100 fucking inch screen, and just by the fire. And cause like it just, Halloween's my favorite time of the year, and all this stuff kind of brings into it. But like we could do haunted castles later on. Cause I was like talking to you and I was like looking up, I was like, there's so many haunted castles
Yeah.
around the world that have like crazy stories. Like it's fucking nuts. And that's fucking strange. And she's the only one that is said to haunted, eh?
Yeah, well, apparently so. Do you know what? I actually think, because this is only like a 25-minute drive from where I live.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna venture out there and maybe try and record some stuff. I don't know. You see, some of these places are like privately owned now, and they're kind of weird about like people being on the property.
What's so
Um,
there's someone at work was telling me how they go to abandoned places, and they're like, oh, they're showing us footage, like showing us we're all going out for drinks after work. And they're like, oh yeah, look, I went out here, and there's all these abandoned places. And I was like, did you just walk in? They're like, yeah, it's like right down the road. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, and my brother did it once actually for like the first time he ever went on Twitch, he like went to this abandoned place with his buddy. And I want to do that. I don't care if there's ghosts there. It'd be fun just look at, and this old abandoned house that like it just come out, look at it was just left there. And I've had people say, yeah, they don't care. And I'm like, like I've always wanted like to bring the Ouija board, at least the spirit box maybe, and just like scan around, because I have the EMF reader too, but I think I have to replace the batteries. Like both of them are like dead. It's been years since I've touched them, and I would love to go like an old place like that, and even an abandoned place, and just see if I can get anything. Because like, and it sucks. Like, I would love to come to Ireland. I wish the Earth was flat. It might be easier to get to you, but like, I don't believe that. But
we might be able to do it on your side of the world though, because I do have family in New York, so
that's super close. And
Yeah.
honestly, if I could convince my fiance, I'd be like, man, you fucking stay at my house. Like, we'll have to like, and we have you know what? We have the future. Hopefully she doesn't go too awry, but the future is, you don't know what the future holds, which we would be able to like do some stuff, and then like maybe meet up with Anton and Buffalo. Like there's stuff we can do going forward that, you know, we can all meet up. Like the fact that like Gordo was actually trying to plan a thing in the States and travel all
Mhm.
around is incredible. Like there is possibilities down the road, and the more people that get interested in this, more people that support us, the more we have opportunity to be able to do these things. 100%, for sure. So let's go to the Banff Springs Hotel. This is pretty crazy. It supposedly it does look innocent enough if you look it up. It's a massive hotel. Like this thing is beyond big, like in old, right by the mountains. And if you know people know BC and stuff like that, it's huge. Like like they have a lot of places stationed up. You'll be like chilling at a hotel or going out for drinks, and there's like mountains, and you just look to your left out on the patio drinking, and there's fucking mountains everywhere. Like BC is pretty. It's beautiful. It's pretty incredible out there, and it looks innocent at least. But according to some people, the hotel is probably one of the most haunted buildings in Canada. And people are saying like it's one of the most haunted buildings in the world, which I think we'll dive into even crazier places down the road. But there's tons of stories surrounding the ancient hotel, which has been around and open since 1888. So it has a thick ass history. And such there's a tale of a bride who is burned to death on the hotel stairwell, which is like, and I'm sure like some of these cases could come up later on, or I think for mini-sodes for both of our Patreons is kind of like discuss some of these more in depth. And there's supposed to be a man missing, the man from the missing room 1873 who murdered his entire family, and they were sleeping in this room, and then he like murdered his whole family, a normal sane guy. So that's fucking.
And again, like it's one of those things. Instantly, when you pulled it up, I was having like flashes of like the Overlook Hotel. I'm like looking at this thing now.
For
And it's
sure.
a huge building. Like I'm looking at there's an image if people want to pull it up. I think it's on the Wikipedia, and it's like a top down, so you can kind of see the scope of it.
Does remind me of The Shining.
Huge.
And by far, The Shining, I want to get a physical copy so I can watch it outside. My fiance also really enjoys that movie. It is so well done and so creepy, and it's just and the whole like just Stanley Kubrick's a G. Oh, oh, that's fucking sick. Your horror tattoos are fucking dope. I like have everything I like kind of like musically love just like plastered on my arms, but you have a cohesive sleeve, which I'm trying to go for.
Yeah, but you know what, right? It started out as just being like, oh, I'll get this here and I'll get this here, and then like over like however many years, it just ended up working. But people
You
always
have
ask
it on,
me,
do you have a picture of it on Pinterest?
no,
It's like I swear I saw your arm pop into like because no it's weird. It shows how much I think we are alike. But how you have the black white essentially black and white, but in red, right?
Mhm.
So I have this arm. So my idea is to do like the rose is red, and then behind the like I love one of my two favorite colors, even though black's not colors, black and red. So I want to mesh it. Like I have Marilyn Monroe, and it's fucking hard to see, but it's like a thing of her holding up a wine glass. You can see her skeleton in it. It's a Misfits cover, but also has to do with my belief in the hauntings and the conspiracies. And I want to have like the wine red, and then like so I like I just I
Yeah, I
love
like
it's
that idea.
fucking weird that you have a tattoo that's like you have your sleeve is like red and black because that's exactly what I've wanted to do. It's
And
just like
it's funny because it was something that I had the idea in my head, but originally it started off as just kind of like a black and gray sleeve, and
yeah.
then one day I think I was in getting something touched up, and the guy just happened to be like, did you ever think about putting color in it? I was like, I want I wanted to do red, but I was like, it's probably like too tacky, and he was like, no, perfect.
And he
He's like,
did. See, and that's what I wish I had that sound effect, especially when we first started recording. Is like, did we just become best friends? It's so true. So like this is crazy. So somebody in a review that stayed there at the Banff Springs hotel wrote, it said, my colleague stayed alone in a separate room and felt strange vibes the entire night. Then at 4 a.m., she was awakened by the sound of a crying baby in the hallway, which just to say this quickly is like babies crying children according to Zach Baggins and other obviously shit too, but like it supposedly is associated with demons, whatever demons are, if they're reptilians or whatever. But like it's this idea that they're trying to trick you and make you think it's something more innocent than it is.
on a side note, right? Years and years ago, we moved like a good bit outside of the town we're in.
Yeah.
And it was like a house out on its own, and it was on a place called Fort Mountain. So it was like it wasn't really a mountain. It was like this weird, like there was all walkways and shit, and it was like this weird mountain and like a decommissioned quarry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember, right, I had no idea at the time. I was like 16, maybe 15, 16. And I remember lying in the bed one night, right? And the window was like, so like the head of the bed is here, the window is like behind me, kind of. And
Yeah.
I wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I swear, I shit you not, and I still to this day, I'm like skeptical and going, no, that's not what it was. I swear to God, dude, I woke up and I heard babies crying outside the fucking window.
I would
Right
shit myself.
now, I'm not messing. Right, I've had some weird experiences. I was like fucking frozen. Like I could hardly even breathe. Right, and it wasn't
I
just
got chills
one
tonight.
baby. It was like multiple babies crying. Right, and it was like really fucking freaky.
Did you
And
live
I'm like,
next to a fucking abortion factory? Like,
right, so I'm lying there, and I'm like, I'm lying there now. I'm trying to come up with like, I was like,
rational
there is
explanations?
no, I was like, there is no logical explanation. Like, we're literally like 25 miles outside of town. There is no babies, and also, why is there babies outside my window at like 4 a.m.?
Why have all these babies, dumpster babies outside?
So like I get right. This is how afraid I was at the time. So after like 10 minutes of listening to this, I slide out of the bed, and on my hands and knees in the pitch black, I crawl out of the room, up the hallway, and
Oh
into
my
the
god!
bathroom. Right. So I sit there for ages, and
What do
then
you think
eventually
all our hands and knees are going to do if the ghosts really want to rape you with
I
all
have
these
no
babies?
idea. I just thought like I was like, they won't know I'm in here.
I can picture you getting attacked by like 10 babies. They're like, "Wah," like that scene from like Toy Story where it's like all the dolls and shit.
So Eventually, when I do come back into the room, it's gone and whatever. I
That's
kind of
fucking
go to sleep, right? And then the next day, I get up and we're having breakfast, and I'm like, this is fucking weird. I don't know if it was like a dream or if it was real. And I said about these crying babies. And now I don't know. I have seen it since, I suppose, and it kind of sounded like it. But uh, so it turns out there was a lot of cats in the area,
I was gonna say like
right? And
what the
somebody had
cats.
left out food or milk or something for him a couple of nights.
I was gonna say
And
what's the cats.
all these cats, like there's like 15, 20 cats, decided to just like constantly like stand outside of our back door.
While you're crawling on your hands and knees.
Dude, I swear to God, right? Cats was like the last thing on my mind. I was like, that's fucking demon, like psychotic babies. I was like, what is going on? I'm about to
And
fucking.
I've heard that. I used to live at a place where like there was these two cats fucking all the time, and it's just like it sounds horrific. Like it's such a horrific sound. You're like, what the fuck?
Because for weeks I was like convinced, like everybody in the house was telling me no, it was cats. And I was like, there's no way fucking cats made this sound. It's just not possible.
That's fucking crazy. There's something I was gonna say about fucking crying babies, but it's just so it's a crazy. So this is a review of someone who stayed there, and then like she heard the crying babies, and when she put a pillow over her head, the sound immediately went away. It wasn't until later when I told her Banff Springs is known to have an actual crying baby ghost who was murdered with her mother many years ago and now supposedly is sealed in room 873. And that's what she maybe is. Fucking weird. Now, all ghosts are as terrifying. However, according to legend, Sam McCulley was a bellman who swore people swore, or no, this guy can't. This bellman swore he was gonna haunt the hotel after he's dead. It's like, when I fucking die, I'm gonna fucking haunt you.
That's
You
like some
realize that?
Scooby-Doo shit.
It is because he loved working there so much. Guests have reported an elderly Scottish man. Goddamn, I'm not gonna try my Scottish accent right now. I can do it if I actually focus, like I can, but my brother's like it goes Indian, and I'm like, oh, coming down, come to that, like, and helped with their bags, and hotel workers actually supposedly. So this motherfucker has helped with people's bags, and then they're like, oh yeah, this guy helped me. And like, nobody helped you, and it's just like, no, that guy helped me. He was a friendly Scottish man. You got any haggis? And then he's like, fucking like that'd be fucking freaky. And this out of everything does remind me of The Shining, like for Shizzy Manizzi.
Yeah,
like, it's fucking
100%.
weird.
Instantly when you pulled it up, I was like, the Overlook Hotel.
It's fucking weird. Oh man, like let's get into the next case. I'm fucking enjoying this a lot.
So the next one I have is one of the bigger ones, and it's quite a famous one, and people will have heard of this name probably because of Stranger Things recently. So it's the Hellfire Club in County Dublin.
When I saw you sent me that, very interesting. I was thinking about you today because I think that we should cover the entire scope of the Hellfire Club because Anton, we're going to do it this year, but for all the fans, it might be next year. We want to do a Hell series where Anton's reading this book about Hell. And then I want to do the Hellfire Club. So we're going to talk about like Hell overall and if it came from certain paintings and people's just influence. And then we want to actually talk about Anton LaVey and the two forms of Satanism. And I want to do Hellfire Club. And I was listening to a book. I'm like halfway through it. And it's like the secrets of the Hellfire Club, but it's written really weird. Like they're taking factual evidence from like the 1700s and the way they talked. And it's fucking weird how it's written, but the funny thing is, well, I didn't even it's synchronicity, and I read this book called The Synchronicity Key recently. It's just like how everything connects, and then I was thinking about the Hellfire Club and how it was in Dublin and how we should cover it, and then when I realized that we were going to cover it tonight, I was like, what the fuck? Because I didn't realize we were doing it when I brought up the pictures. Like, shit.
That is bizarre. And I actually didn't realize until obviously I'd heard of it before, but when I started to actually research it, how extensive and how far back
Like way
and,
far back.
yeah, and how crazy.
They all were just stuck in
stories.
each other's dicks praising the fucking devil. It's fucking weird, man.
Um, okay, so the Hellfire Club is a deserted hunting lodge that was founded by Irish Freemasons in 1735.
Yeah.
Located on Mount Pellier Hill in the Dublin Mountains, there are no records of the designer of the building that has been found. It was supposedly built on the ruins of a Neolithic passage grave that dated back over 5,000 years. In many of these grave sites, they were marked by something known as a cairn, which is like a man-made pile or a stack of stones that were like built to signify a burial place. Like it's quite common in Ireland.
I
And
know what you're talking. It's like if you think about Blair Witch,
yeah,
right?
essentially.
Same
And then
thing.
you have these other ones where it's like this weird kind of T-shaped thing that they would mark. Um, so on the orders of William Connolly, who was a politician, commissioner of revenue, lawyer, and major landowner at the time, the stones from the cairn were removed and used to help build a new fireplace for him in the lodge. The
Yep.
locals were immediately unsettled by this and considered the place doomed or cursed from then on. It is reported that the same night that the lodge was completed, a huge storm came in and tore the roof from the building, which left many believing that the place was truly cursed. Many rich people visited the lodge, as it was the upper classes, and the interior was said to be incredible with unique attention to detail, while the common folk referred to it as the haunted house. Rumors spread that it was a meeting place for the Irish Freemasons and eventually more permanent residents known as the Hellfire Club. It was said during their meetings that there was excessive drinking, smoking, sex, and
Sucking dick.
even reports of sacrifice and occultism. They would also leave a spot free at the table each night for the devil to attend the meetings.
Yeah.
They were said to hold black masses on the site, make deals with the devil, and attempt to summon him. One night a
Which
fire broke out.
100% be
That's so freaky.
no,
like.
no, it's freaky. That's why I'm saying this is 100%. Anton will probably be down, but either way, me and you will cover this. I want to do the Hellfire Club. It'll probably be like a 2-hour episode. I want to do it. Like it's so.
I didn't realize how much there is to it.
There's fucking tons to it. I'm like listening to a book and I'm like, what the fuck are these guys even talking about? And it was talking about like how people viewed each other back then, and this guy was like into witchcraft, but it's like I have to listen to another book because this book is structured weird, and I bought it, but it's the way it's written is so weird. Like, cause it's like going back in these like old timey writings. It's based on all the writings back then. And it's just like fucking weird.
So one night, a fire broke out at the lodge, which nearly killed many of the members and left the building unusable, forcing them to relocate nearby. In 1771, the club was revived properly and was active for another 30 years. Its most notorious member was Thomas Buck Whaley.
Of course.
And they were then, from that point on, known as the Holy Fathers. And there were stories that they had kidnapped, murdered, and ate farmers' children. Some of the legends that surround this place are... So there's a guy by the name of Simon Luttrell, aka the King of Hell, which rhymes.
Yeah.
Who apparently made a deal with the devil to clear his gambling debts, trading his soul after 7 years. Making good on the deal, the devil came to claim his soul, but he managed to escape with his life. This caused the devil to roam the area seeking him. There's another story of a local priest that was out searching for a missing member of the clergy. He went to the Hellfire Club on suspicions that he thought maybe they had kidnapped him for a sacrifice.
Hey boy, where are you? Are you out there sucking a little boy's dick? We're trying to find you.
Now, I don't know why he would do this, but apparently he assumed that they might have kidnapped the priest and they were using him for a sacrifice. So he shows up at the Hellfire Club. I don't know if he breaks in or sneaks in or something like that, and he comes across this like giant, like weird cathedral looking room, and they are worshipping some form of large cat with horns. And apparently he pulls out his holy water and starts to try perform an exorcism on the spot, thus freeing the creature from whatever had possessed it.
See, and that's what my thing with holy water is a pedophile blesses the water, Like, I don't understand holy water. I don't understand how it
Mhm.
works. But the thing is, right? What's that David I quote? Attention flow, energy goes where attention flows, or energy flows where attention goes. The same way they have rituals. Either way, there is rituals being done by celebrities like Madonna and Britney Spears and obviously Lady Gaga and stuff like that. Either way, if you can, sports centers are attention goes, are energy flows where attention goes is sports centers. I'm not a fan of sports, never will be. I know everyone's like, well, you're wearing a fucking Toronto fucking, you're wearing a baseball hat. It's just like, no, I wear it because I like it. I'm not a fan of sports. I never have been. I'm into the weird shit. It's just like, I would play sports. It just doesn't get my goat. Like,
Mhm.
but that whole thing of like, you can be distracted. According to William Cooper, which I don't believe all of his shit, but yeah, I think he was correct when it's like you distract people with games. Like, you have people like, fuck you, you fucking like Boston. And it's like they fight with each other over the stupidest shit is like
Yeah.
sports games. And it's like that energy,
Yeah.
And so this whole idea that they can focus on certain things and put this energy into one specific thing, and it could cause things to happen, like, and you could focus your energy on one thing, and then all of a sudden like you start seeing shit and you're giving it credence, so then it ends up like actually happening because you're creating and manifesting, which, like, I believe in ghosts, but I also believe you can call upon things that maybe you're not meeting to. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
Because
This
this
place
just
as
shit's
well,
deep.
this place, for some reason I seen the idea of a black cat being brought up quite a lot, and apparently it ended up
Yes.
being the club's mascot.
Yep.
It's still connected to apparent hauntings in the area to this day. There's a story about the Hellfire Club, which I think would raise some suspicions when we get into it in a second. But there's a story I'm not going to tell now. It's going to be in my last one, the next one I do. So there's a story very similar to the story of Loftus Hall, which we'll
Yes.
get into
Which,
when I
when you
cover that.
brought that up, I was like, shit, we're doing that. Like,
It's like, and funny thing is, I didn't realize, but when I started doing research about that area, that Mount Pellier Hill, the Loftus family also had a lodge like a stone's throw away from the Hellfire Club.
and this was before Crowley, right? I feel like Crowley
Mhm.
definitely went there.
I would imagine so.
Like, jerks off on the fucking remains of the building. I spread my magic. It's fucking, is that it? Like,
Yeah.
fucking so crazy. And that's what I said. All the fans out there, like, I thought about you when I've said to Anton plenty of times, I want to do the Hellfire Club. And then he was like, maybe we should do it for a Hell series. And I was like, okay, like, if we're going to do this, let's do this. And now that we're connected through you and everything like that, and we're all becoming family, like, we should fucking, like, definitely, I want to dive more into it. And you have this idea, right? Like, when I was younger, my favorite number was 13. I like black cats. Every time I saw a mirror, I'd punch it. I'm joking, but like, how it's just it's just like how I almost thought that you could revert those things. Is like, you could
Mhm.
kind of like, you could turn something that is known as a negative thing and turn it positive. Like, it is possible. Like, 1333 is a Masonic number. There's a rapper named Beast 1333, and he's all against the Freemasons, the Illuminati, all this shit. The guy's like an amazing artist and like never shows his face. Like, there's only fucking maybe 3 pictures of this dude on the internet, and you should Beast 1333 look him up. This guy like has a whole song about Lemuria, and it's so complex that even me, someone who's looked deeply into this stuff, it's hard to get a grasp of some of the stuff he puts into a 3-minute song. Like, it's beyond belief how crazy this guy goes deep into lyrics, and he talks about Madame Blavatsky and Aleister Crowley, and like, just like, it's fucking nuts. And he always talks about reverting symbols and turning it into what you kind of want, using it against the occultism of what it's meant for, right? Like, and the funny thing is, it shows like obviously who me and like how both of us are. Is like, I was always fascinated by it. Like, I want a black cat.
Mhm.
My favorite number is 13. It's probably Friday 13th, but like stuff like that. Like, it's just, And this stuff, and I love doing episodes with you because like Anton's, I can do like 2 or 3 hours. Like we're bringing it like, well, I think we don't have too much left, but we still have enough. But I'm saying, like I was gonna say earlier, is like I'm someone. If I sit here, I could do like a 3 hour episode. Like
Mhm.
I don't know how Gordo does like 6 hours, but I could do 3-4 hours and just fucking talk and
Yep.
get into like all the details and shit, which I'm glad that you're also on board because I need someone like that. If I do that with Billy, Billy's like, I'm fucking drunk, man. Like it's like what time? He's like trying to hold up his wrist properly. Look at us.
And yeah, and sometimes like I have like a problem like that where I try to like shut myself up sometimes because I'm like you might mention something and I'm like, oh yeah, okay,
And
25
then we
minutes of that.
spiel off. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I'm glad I have that you've entered our life and our strangeness because I want to be able to do those like 3-4 hour long episodes if necessary for certain topics. Because I can sit here and talk about stuff like this all day. It doesn't bother me. I can like, as long as I'm not getting too drunk or I'm like decently coherent and understand what we're talking about, I'm usually good. So let's get into the Dawson City. And it's weird that I've picked a couple places that were like not just a place, it's an overall like city or forest. And this place is fairly strange. I was looking for it because it doesn't really show much. This is the city, obviously near a huge mountain, small town, gold miner type style town. If people want to think about that, like it's think about a gold mining town. You build a little civilization, you could say, near mountains or places where people would go mine gold or silver or certain metals that are found in the ground, especially back in the day. So let's just count the whole town because there is so much creepy stuff here. In a building called the Commissioner's House, people have reportedly seen apparitions and heard scattering voices, just like weird style voice, like just voices that you can't explain. Footsteps, obviously, is the main thing in hauntings a lot of times. There's a palace, the Palace Grand Theater is said to be haunted by Klondike Kate. See, it's like a gold mining town. You could just like hear that. Even Klondike Kate sounds like a stripper you would see in a dusty old town, like a ghost. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like a gold town. It's just like you have two strippers. You have Goldsmith, fucking Sandy, and Klondike Kate. A very famous person who died in the town. I don't know what she did. I would have to look deeper into this. Finally, that's what I'm saying. A lot of these cases could be mini-sodes for Patreon, as we said. Finally, West Minister's Hotel is supposed to be haunted by a whole host of specters causing unexplainable noises, weird footsteps, sounds of crying, usually with hauntings. Obviously, staff of the hotel who have claimed to have seen things vanish and then reappear, causing them no really hassle in the end anyway. They're like, we saw like, the fire extinguisher went missing. We didn't have a fire, but it went missing. And then when the fire happened, it was there again. I guess it's like all these weird kind of things.
She was an American dancer.
Wow, I was right.
Yeah,
A dancer.
She was
How about like burlesque shows?
she was in some TV shows as well. And she worked with Groucho Marx on some stuff. Apparently.
Oh, she worked the Groucho? That's fucking weird.
Yep. Apparently
Groucho Marx stuff is really weird too. If you, it's and people look him up if you don't know, because I know the younger generation. It's a famous guy with a big mustache.
Got me into him.
Really? Oh, yeah. I guess that's true. Rob Zombie does like kind of hold that merit. Are you excited for the Munsters?
Yes and no. You see,
I know.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? And I don't give a shit. I'm a huge Rob Zombie guy. Always have been.
Me
The
too.
only thing I think that Rob Zombie has
I know
done
people shit on them, but
that I don't like. The only thing I didn't really care for that much was his Halloween 2. Other than that, I actually enjoyed.
I liked Halloween 1, and then 2 went too far.
Yeah,
I 100%
Halloween 1.
I
absolutely love that. I love rewatching that. If it gets around Halloween, like, and my girlfriend is like, "Oh, let's watch a scary movie or whatever." She loves kind of Michael Myers, that kind of stuff. I'll always pull that one out.
Yeah.
House of a Thousand Corpses is in my
So
top
me and my fiance watched House of 1,000 Corpses like last year. It's so well done, and the thing is, we have that same opinion where it's like, but Michael, I was good to you, Michael. Like it's just like that film is like iconic, and people shit on it so much. The second one's not as great. I find it kind of lacking a lot of stuff, but
Yeah, House of a Thousand Corpses in my top 5 favorite films.
Devil's Rejects.
Love it.
Me and my girl also really enjoyed Three from Hell. I thought
Yeah,
that movie was
I really
great.
enjoyed Three from Hell. Yeah.
It made the bad guys look like good guys, like you were rooting for them.
I don't know if you can.
1000%.
I don't know if you can notice there. That's a Rob Zombie mask,
Mhm.
and then above me there is the dude from the start
Yes.
of House of a Thousand
And he
Corpses.
jumps from the fucking trees. I fucking hate that scene. That scene is frightening. And you can't deny that Rob Zombie, and I think that like if you never covered it, we should do on your show is like let's just do an episode about Rob Zombie in
I'd love
general.
that. I'd
And
love
we'll
that.
just shoot the shit talking about him and his because I think he is a creative genius. Like I'm not a
So
huge
like-
fan of his music.
And I
like,
always
I enjoy it.
The thing I loved about Rob Zombie is, and I feel like if I were to ever even get anywhere near some sort of level of fame or have the opportunity to do things like that, that
Yeah.
I would create things that would be me. So like when you get Rob Zombie's Halloween, you get
Yeah.
exactly that. You don't get a Halloween, but Rob Zombie's name is at the top.
Yeah.
It's like it is his movie.
No, and I agree too. Like I stated all the things I could do and would do with certain horror flicks and stuff like that. I've always made the point. I feel like I could really write if I had the money behind it, a really good reptilian horror flick
Mm-hmm.
where it would scare the living shit out of people. Like, or it's never been done before, where you have this idea of the horror figure, like but being a reptilian, but making it like almost like Fire in the Sky mixed with all these other films. Like, and I give it up to Jordan Peele for doing stuff that's different. But
That's
I would,
another way I love that. I
Yeah.
really admire that about people when
how
they just go,
crazy.
I'm just gonna fucking do this.
Why not? He has the money. In these films, like this is for an episode for another time. But it's just this idea that Rob Zombie did what he wanted. He had the money behind it. He sold the tickets. He has his own Paramount horror land or whatever. He did what was he did his thing. Like, you know what I mean? I enjoy it.
And funny actually, so I'm a huge fan of like haunted attractions.
Yeah.
So like I obviously COVID and everything fucked it up, but every year I used to fly to Orlando in September to do Halloween Horror Nights.
You actually did? That's
Yeah, I
sick.
swear to God, man, for 2 or 3 weeks. And a lot of people don't know that
I would love to go there.
the idea for House of a Thousand Corpses wasn't actually first written as a movie. It was written as a treatment for a haunted
Yes,
house for
I
Halloween
knew
Horror
that.
Nights.
Yeah, I do that.
He-
And crazy.
Rob Zombie has an episode with Joe Rogan, and he talks about that. And
I
he
feel
talks
like
about
I've seen
it's very good.
I did
Yeah.
listen to it because I was like, I must have heard that from there.
Yeah, it's very interesting though. It's very good.
So, the headless captain of Queens Road. It is said that in 1745 there is a captain who lived on Queens Road with his unhappy wife. And this is just in Newfoundland and Labrador, small little town with a lot of history. And the captain spent many months at sea. And in his absence, his wife began having an affair with a local merchant who hoped to take the lady for his own. So it's like, all right, you're getting a good dickin'. I want you for my own. While at sea, the wife and her man plotted to get rid of the captain, the kind of, I guess, the side piece, you could say. So they could get married. It's just like, well, you're married to this guy. I'm fucking you. I like you. I want this. Upon the captain's return from the city, the merchant suitor attacked the captain, completely severing his head with a longsword, which would take time. It would. The two then got married, and it wasn't paradise. Nothing really went as well as they thought it was going to be, of course, because you murdered somebody for this ceremony to happen. And the community had ostracized them both. And obviously suspected that they correctly suspected that they had something to do with the captain's death. And as the relationship crumbled, strange things began occurring in the house, including strange noises and brief sightings of the captain without his head. Fucking creepy. So strange.
Like,
There's always, and I have another one closer, like very close to the end, because we should just slowly start bringing this to a close. But let me say this one, since we're talking about it now, is there is another case, and this is in 1879 at 242 William Street in Montreal, Canada. Susan Kennedy went on a murderous rampage after a fit of jealousy. This could be its own mini-sode. She killed several people, including her close friend Mary Gallagher. This is supposedly the house that we're showing for the YouTube listeners, and since that tragic day, there have been several sightings of a ghost throughout the building, and it is said that the spirit of Mary Gallagher wanders the halls of the owned property. Every 7 years, her decapitated body appears stumbling around looking for her head. And this goes because I think I'm pretty sure maybe they killed her at the guillotine, which I only got the brief story of this because I think it could be a fun mini-sode for the Patreon. But how often there is headless corpse hauntings, it's all the time. Like there's so many cases. I'm saying probably over 100, maybe 500 cases of hauntings with headless corpses. Like first easy, man, easy.
Which is like freaky as well. Like when I'm listening to these stories, I try and like for a split second, like put myself in the vision of like what I'm seeing from what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking hell. Like I just, again, like Blair Witch Project is probably, I always have a hard time saying like, oh, it's my favorite movie ever, but it's
man, I watched it when I was 10 years old. I rented, or how was it, maybe 11 or 12. I rented Scooby-Doo and Blair Witch, and I watched Blair Witch after Scooby-Doo, and I was like sitting in my basement alone, laying on the ground, like watching the movie on an old TV, people. This is like one of the bulb TVs, and it scared the shit out of me. And when you were talking about it earlier, I was thinking like, I think me and you should just do a commentary on it for the Patreon. Is like, let's just watch it together, have a drink or two together,
that'd be
just the tent scene has always scared the living shit out of me.
Dude,
like,
right? I remember seeing that as well.
Like
And
the
we were
shaking
probably,
and like, and
we were probably even like
children.
further removed than you guys. Like, I mean, at least, you know, you guys had you're probably more, I suppose, more advanced than us in a lot of ways, and especially back then. So like I remember hearing about this, like, oh, there's this like movie, but it's like a lost tape of these people who went missing and this and that,
And
right?
you
And obviously,
believed it was real.
yeah, and I know like everybody kind of believed that at the time, but like over here it was like this it's like, oh, you know, it's coming from America, it's coming from over there, and you're kind of going, oh, what? And then like I remember seeing it, dude, and like genuinely like
I was scared
wholeheartedly
shitless.
believing every fucking moment of that, where I was like, it's real. It's real.
And they did a very good job. The whole movie is well done, and definitely like people join the Patrons on both of our channels. You're gonna get like a bunch of different stuff going on. And let's get into the Loftus. You can say Lotus. Yeah. Let's get into that because that's your last one, right? And then I have one or two small ones.
Okay, so most people will know Loftus Hall as the most haunted place in Ireland. So for context, where I live in Wexford, this is probably like maybe 30, 40 minutes from where I'm at.
Oh shit, you're like super close.
Yeah, and I've been here quite a few times. So Loftus Hall is a large mansion located along the Hook Peninsula. For people who don't know, Hook Lighthouse is like a stone's throw away from Loftus Hall. It's out on this like jagged peninsula thing. And Hook Lighthouse is the second oldest working lighthouse in the world.
Why is it still working? Do they have GPS now?
I have no idea why. So
I was just watching fucking I was just watching The Fog, which I haven't seen since I was a kid. I think it's kind of lacking. I fucking love John Carpenter, but and that the whole thing is a lighthouse. Everything is like the haunted lighthouse. Think about that with the Ring or whatever that movie. There's a movie with the
If I
lighthouse.
don't watch it for like a couple of years and I watch it again, I'm like, oh, actually, yeah, I kind of enjoy this.
It's not bad,
But
but
it's
whenever the beginning is very slow,
Mhm.
very slow. Chicks like work at the lighthouse, Meg. Tell her to leave the kids to get out of the house. It's like you want to run into the fog lady.
Um, okay, so the mansion has been a private residence, a convent on 2 separate occasions, a school for young girls, and even a hotel. So in more recent times, the hall was finally opened to the public as an attraction and was featured on Ghost Adventures with Zach Baggins, who we've talked about before.
Yes.
And it was also the main film location for a movie that came out in 2016, I think, called The Lodgers, which was kind of loosely based on Loftus Hall.
Zach douche Baggins.
So the house was built by the Redmond family in 1350 during the time of the Black Death. It replaced their original castle that was originally on the property. The property later came into the possession of the Loftus family in the 1650s due to the result of the Cromwellian confiscations, and it was confirmed after the restoration of King Charles II of England by the Act of the Settlement in 1662. So that basically what that means is the English came in and went, yeah, this is a nice house. Get out. We're giving it to the family. This is essentially, they went like, what? I don't know if they murdered them, but they were like, you know what you're gonna do? Out of here. And they're moving in. So in 1917, it was converted into a convent. In 83, it was converted into a hotel. After this, it was left abandoned until 2011, where it
That happens so often. Where they're like, we don't know what to do with this building, and I don't know if that's anything to do with the hauntings, but they're like, we don't know what to do with it anymore. We'll turn it into a hotel. Okay, that's not working. It's not making money, and then they just like it happens like all over the world in tons of places all the time.
Yep. I remember for years, I always used to look at it locked up and go, now that kind of made it maybe more scarier. And like, if you were ever down that way and you would see like maybe the gate was open and there was like a Jeep or something up near the house, you'd be like, what the fuck, or who the fuck is like in there? Or why are they in there? Or what's, but, okay. So in the 1780s, the Loftus family were away on business, and they invited the Tottenhams to watch over the mansion in their absence. When the family moved into Loftus Hall, they brought their only child, their daughter named Anne, with them. On a stormy night, a man. Now, this is apparently there's a similar story with the Hellfire Club. Now, I don't know if one just kind of ripped it from the other or whatever, but it's nearly like word for word the exact same story. Now, this is the main story of Loftus Hall. Like, this is apparently what started the entire thing.
Strange.
So on a stormy night, a man visited the house looking for shelter. They welcomed him into the house. The storm raged on for days and days. Anne eventually fell in love with the stranger. I think she was like young, like impressionable, like just fucking like seeing this like strange man and was like, oh, I love him. One evening, they were enjoying a game of cards. She realized that she had dropped a card on the floor. As she went to retrieve it, she then saw her lover's
smacked in the fucking dick face with a dick.
She then saw her so-called lover's feet, the feet of the devil, a cloven hoof.
What?
The devil makes it through the roof. So at this point, then obviously she shrieks or whatever comes up from the table. He's obviously been found out.
Yeah.
He bursts into flames and flies through the roof, leaving a large hole in the ceiling, which apparently to this day still cannot be repaired.
That's fucking weird. And I found like the history in Ireland is so deep and rife with lore. Like while I'm looking up research, I'm always like looking around for what episodes could we do? What do I got? And I found I have stuff that we could do on like pixies and stuff like that. Obviously that's huge in Ireland. Obviously pixies, leprechauns, stuff like that. But like hauntings in general, castles. Like it's, and I'm interested, right? Like the thing is, because I'm Canadian, and we are trying to branch out and cover some Canadian things, and like we're gonna dive into a lot of Canadian serial killers, hauntings, paranormal events. Especially serial killers, there's a lot more than I think people realize that exist in Canada. But Canada's, you could say, fairly new comparative to the history of like Ireland. So like, and considering now we're connected with you and you're part of the family, it interests me. It's gets my dick hard to like think, okay, what can we get into? How like we can do so many different topics when it comes to Ireland in general. Like the fact that, like we've mentioned before, we kind of want to get into Irish serial killers, which is something I've never really heard about, but I'm sure I could find a lot of information about. And it's so like intriguing. And I think we cross path for a reason and everything like that. Like it's
100%.
so fucking interesting. And like, obviously mushrooms has helped me. Like I was thinking about when I was on my mushroom trip, I was thinking about you and I was like, all these people are in my life for a reason. And we're starting to grow and do different fucking things. And like, how it's
weird,
crazy.
like
You're over
you
here
talked
and I'm
about,
over
like,
here.
the synchronicity thing. It's weird how sometimes things just kind of, and it's just
kind of connect. And how we were talking beforehand, I knew that you followed me on the original TikTok, and then we just started talking, and it's fucking strange. And there's so many things we're gonna get into. We'll bring it to a close with this crazy Fairmont Empress Hotel.
So right before you get to that, right, I'm just going to run through. So,
there's more.
yeah. So apparently this like the story I had always heard. This isn't even something that I knew from research, just from living around here. You would always be told like that this hole was still in the hall and they couldn't repair it. So this picture here, the people,
And it's
for
in the
people who
roof.
are on,
Like, is it in the roof?
yeah. So that picture there that you had up, for people who are watching this on the YouTube and stuff, that image. Okay, so in 2014, that photo was taken by a British tourist by the name of Thomas Beavis, and
His name is Thomas Beavis.
yep,
Jesus.
that shit went so viral. So and this is kind of the reason why I think. So he burst into flames, burst through the roof.
Flew away. Like, it
Not,
reminds me of like those like movies, and he's like, and he's
Yeah.
like flies away.
and
Like,
this
all
was
right,
always
bye-bye.
like over here, like this was always told as like, it wasn't like one of those like, haha, the devil.
Yeah.
This was like, it's like serious shit. It was like, no, this is real.
The devil
was
existed.
fucking-
And it would send chills down your spine. We just talked about the Jersey Devil and how like she
Wow.
birthed the Jersey Devil, and then he like and like flew out of the fucking ceiling and like killed all of his fucking siblings and shit. Like, it reminds me of the same kind of story of like, oh shit, like now this place is completely haunted.
And okay, so not long after this happened, she was pregnant. And obviously she, like, back in those times, I'd imagine, like, she's a young, I say she's a young girl, like she's probably like fucking, 19 or 20 or some shit.
Yeah.
But like, obviously she didn't really have any like dealings with the outside world or commoners or anything. So like, the only person that she had been in contact with was this dude. And her family were like, her parents were like, fuck, she's like gonna have like the spawn of Satan. That's like the
The
devil
Jersey
child in her.
Devil. That's literally the same shit.
So basically what they done was they kept this quiet in the background. They were like,
Yeah.
okay, let's just like act like everything's cool, right? So they let her have the kid. As soon as the baby is born, they murder it and they bury it in the wall of the
Holy
house.
This is a horror movie. Why haven't they made a movie about this yet?
So like, there's a room that, and I've actually been in this room 2 or 3 times, called the tapestry room, and it was her room, and it looked out off the cliffs and into the sea. And apparently this is where like she would like stand and like stare out at the sea, hoping to like see him come back or something and save her or bring her away. They fucking buried the dead body of that kid in the wall in that room.
And they know, in at least an historical fact, that they actually did this.
Yep. So then they called a
What the
priest
fuck?
to perform an exorcism on the house. She basically went psychotic after that. She spent all the last years of her life locked away in the tapestry room, where her child was buried in the walls, and she just sat in a rocking chair and stared out through the window at the sea, hoping to see a ship coming. Maybe he'd be on it. Years later, when they went in, like, I don't know, went through the house and stuff, is when the skeleton remains were found. In the 1870s, when the house was being renovated, that happened. Many
1870s.
many people have also claimed to have seen orbs, manifestations around the house. So I personally have been to this place many times.
Yeah. Have you seen anything?
I haven't seen anything, but I've had some crazy
Feeling.
experiences. Like we done a tour one night, and I got picked out of the crowd, and I got left in a room while the tour
That's
continued.
sick. I would love to do that.
The cold spots in the house are absolutely. I don't know if it was just me focusing on that, but like I was like, "Fuck!" It was bizarre. There's a room in there. It's a chapel in the house,
Yeah.
and it is one of the freakiest. It has like the pews.
Yeah.
The,
They
and
had a little church inside the house.
yes, it's
That's
the
fucking weird.
fucking
And
scariest.
I've always
looking-
said that too, right? Is like it just because like my friend that we mentioned that was schizophrenic, he would walk by churches and hear screaming. And I'm like, just because you think that it's this place that people can they comfort each other during mourning of death and stuff like that, does not mean it's this pure place.
Mhm.
Because in my opinion, religion is not the greatest thing. And I don't care if you are religious and and people out there that are religious, believe in what you want to believe. Our whole thing is everybody love everybody. But there is some weird thing of giving your energy up to a higher power that you don't know is actually there, and like devoting your life to this higher power that you could just be exhuming your energy, especially negative energy.
And another thing I think that doesn't get, I know like there's obviously a lot of horror movies and stuff bring it up, but religion is fucking scary, man.
Yeah. And
Religion
there's a lot of deep
is scary.
things, and you think about every horror movie, Insidious, and all these things, and like this definitely has went out longer than I thought it was going to be, which I enjoy, but let's just bring it to a close with
Mhm.
the Fairmont Empress Hotel, located on the Vancouver Island. It is notorious for ghosts. It's actually named one of the most haunted famous hotels by Reader's Digest. As I was joking in the beginning of the episode, I was like, it's always like Reader's Digest says this shit is the fucking hauntedest place on earth. And this place is fucking massive. Also, huge old structure style hotel, like right on a little lakefront.
They all remind me of fucking the Overlook Hotel.
They do, and this it's the structure. Okay, for the YouTube listeners, right? Because I'll cut a lot of this stuff from the audio, but check out the Fairmont, right? And then if you look at the Banff, it's it's almost fucking identical in structure. Okay, that's the Banff Spring Hotel, and this is the Fairmont. Whoops, not that one. It's so similar in structure, but obviously you have the same architect. Maybe he's like going around to Canada, but the reports of that the architect, bring up him, of the hotel, Francis Rattenbury, still wanders around the hotel. His spirit eternally attaches supposedly to the property because I've tried to play Ouija boards and use ghost detecting equipment in graveyards. Never works and then I started to get to the belief of people don't live in ghosts don't live in graveyards. Okay, they go to where they're familiar with. They'll even if they're trapped in the astral world, I do believe they would go to where they're most comfortable. So somehow they try, and even if it is like what they show on The Conjuring or Insidious, where it's this kind of like this astral world, where it's like our world but darker, you try to find your way home. And there's supposed to be a ghost of Lizzie McGrath, a chambermaid who tragically fell to her death one day while cleaning one of the rooms. She attempted to step out onto the fire escape. I don't know why. You were cleaning a room and it's just like, all right, let me get the window. And then you just fall to your fucking death. And she plummeted several stories to the ground below, which is strange. I get you're trying to be a good chambermaid before Count Olaf fucking beat you to death, but like, I don't think you need to go on the fire escape to try to clean the window. And I have pictures. She's got one of those old school like dusters It's just like fucking I don't know, goose feathers on a fucking stick.
I don't know why, but when you said that, there it reminded me of what's the dude from fucking Shrek? Lord Farquaad.
Yeah, yeah, and he's like fucking tormenting the gingerbread man.
Yeah, but why? That is strange. Why would you be out on the fire escape?
Unless like they're being influenced by ghosts, and it will come on a further episode. Obviously, like we can spend literally hours talking about this stuff, which will happen for live shows and stuff like that. Like I said, Anton's like, I'm good with like 2.5 hours, but I'm someone like, if there's a topic I specifically want to dig my teeth into, I'm not a huge fan of 2-parters. There will be 2-parters on Strange Brew. It's gonna happen with certain cases, which we can only cover 2 hours each episode, where it's not 4 hours. And I feel like you're on the same page that there is certain topics that if we want to get into, if I schedule the time right, I'm down to do like 3-4 hours. Like,
yeah, because there is certain topics I think there that really need like to be done justice, where they're completely fleshed out
in one episode. I'm not a fan of 2-parters. A lot of other people do it, and just something I've never really wanted to do. And we've done it before, and we'll do it again with certain topics and certain serial killers. But if I could, like when me and Billy did Jack the Ripper, I was like, it's fucking 17 pages. I'm ready to do 3.5 hours. But I was like, I can't do that. Because we drink also, especially when Billy's over, maybe we drink a little more because we're physically in person.
Yeah.
It's like, I cannot do that. And each episode was about like 2 hours ish. And I was ready to do like a 3.5 hour podcast. So, and he was like, I just can't do it. And I'm like, I can, but like, I would have to like make sure I only drink what I have here.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy the drinks. It makes you a little loose and get your thoughts in a weird space. I'm kind of glad I didn't smoke up on this episode because I feel like it would have gone more off in a tangent and banter. But obviously, supposedly she found on the ground below. Unknown to her, the fire escape had been removed for construction and repairs. So she went to step out to try to clean the window, maybe as she usually does. Like the guy's like, you need to go out there. Okay, the window is fucking dirty. Count Dickwad down the street can see the dirty window. I don't pay you. I enslave you to do this. She's a chambermaid. You pretty much get paid pittance to do this sort of stuff. And then she like steps out the one day, like a normal routine, like, and then she's like, turns into a clock like she's in Beauty and the Beast, and it's like, and her son Chip is just like dismantled, and it is a weird fucking thing. And now, suppose we guess say they hear terrible screams outside of their windows, which would be frightening as fuck. And the most unsettling, an unnamed elderly woman is said to knock on people's doors. She's urgently leads the guest to the elevator where she disappears. She knocks on your door, and then she's like, you gotta come to the fucking elevator, okay? And then she like leads to the elevator, and then she just disappears, and you're sitting there in your skivvies, and it's just like, all right, that was strange.
Yeah, no, I don't even like instantly. I'm even like that now when I stay in a hotel and it's like later at night. If someone knocks on the door, instantly I like shit my pants. I'm like, what the fuck?
No, and I feel like I've had that happen too. No, I feel like I've had that happen too, where like someone randomly knocks on your. Me and my fiance are like, where if somebody knocks on the door, we'll like hide under the couch. Like there's, especially at our old house, we had a big front window, and we would just kind of be like, fuck's at the door, and we like kind of peek through the thing. We still do that. We're like, now in the place we're living at, like you essentially have to go through the back door to kind of get in. There's a big front door, but we don't really use it. So nobody really, we're in a smaller town now. We're in a bigger city, and it's changed now because it's like before, like we're on kind of a place that was like, it was an area that was known for like drug addicts and grimy shit. Like there was an apartment building like not far from us that really weird fucked up shit would happen. Like it was fairly close and there was this weird park beside it, and like you just see the weirdest kids hanging out there.
Yeah, that would have me on high alert.
I never fucking answer the door. I like, oh man, this shit, like I love ghost stuff, and I can talk about this all night. We're definitely gonna have to do like some live specials, some stuff for Patreon. We have a lot of stuff coming.
I have two questions before before we close it out, and it's both for you, sitting here now, and then
the listeners,
and then afterwards, I would like people to comment wherever they want to, whether it be on YouTube or on our Instagrams or somewhere like that, and and message us and let me know your answers to these questions. So number
Yeah,
one would be,
100%.
if there is one, is there a place, a haunted place or a supposedly haunted place or something like that that sticks out in your mind as like your holy grail of like, this
Yes.
is a place I'd love to go to? And then the second part of that question is, where do you think that the most haunted place on
That
earth
you know
is?
of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to know that too. I'm interested. See me, I don't really know, and I'd like to go here. There's a place called Stony Creek. It's not far from me, and I think I've said the story kind of just briefly on the podcast. Um, but that I had a friend. They went to this place. It was like where they'd keep soldiers during not Civil War times, but like kind of like back in the day. And they were sitting on a hill, and the younger son went in with the mom, which is funny. And then they tell ghost stories, and you're not allowed to go upstairs because it's haunted, and they don't want you messing around with stuff. It's an historical building. There's this building where it's like a family house, and then next to it, it was supposed to be where soldiers stayed, and they're both haunted. And the older son and the father were sitting on the hill, kind of like just watching the house. And then they swear to God, and this is like when I was like 12, 13, the dad and the son are telling the story. And there was this whole idea of that this grandma took care of this sick girl, and she had like tuberculosis or some fucking cholera, some sort of disease that existed back then that killed a bunch of people. And the grandma kind of stayed with the girl till she died, and the grandma died. And they saw, as they passed the window, they saw the old lady morph into the little girl as it walked by the window. And they swear they told that, like, the mom and the younger son after, like, what the it was, and like, oh, she's told ghost stories. We didn't really hear anything, and like we saw something, and it was like right there. And they claim to never go upstairs and stuff like that. Also, another episode that's got a lot of downloads that we covered is the Black Donnellys. I don't know if you ever heard about this. It's an Irish family. I fucking came to Canada. You should look up the Black Donnellys. Listen to the episode, honestly, if you want to, because it's a strange case. And they came here. There was fights because Irish people came over here, and there were Protestants and Catholics, and they would kind of fight over bullshit. And then nobody liked the Black Donnellys. The Black Donnellys who steal horses and do all sorts of fucking crazy shit to people. And then so they, at the end, essentially the scope of the story, go back and listen to the episode, is they killed all the Donnellys, murdered them all, like burnt them in the house alive.
I've never heard of that story.
Look at the Black Donnellys. Listen to the episode. I think you'll enjoy it. It's fucked. Billy's like, what the fuck half the time, because it's such a strange case. Because of how the shit that these motherfuckers used to do is crazy. And so they'd steal horses, burn down other people's barns, and never really hurt people. They just fist fight. They were like, I think we joked and said it was like a family of Conor McGregor's, because they would just like fight everybody and wouldn't care about who it was. And it was fucking crazy. And then essentially there is supposed to be, now you can go tour the place in Lucan, Ontario, and it's supposed to be haunted. It's fucking weird.
I don't know how I've never heard of it.
You should listen to the episode and look up some docs on it. It is a fucking, and if you ever specifically maybe want to cover it just for your show, we can definitely talk about it, because it's fucking crazy. It's such a strange case.
Is there somewhere on the planet that you would consider like it doesn't even have to be a specific place, even if it's like a country or I don't know, for some reason, like, places like Japan always jump out to me as like, I feel like there's a lot of like fucked up.
There's a lot of hauntings. We talked about that in the Strange Hauntings of World War. It's just like there's supposed to be like, or Strange Mysteries of World War. There's like Japanese soldiers. The States has a lot. I don't think there's any place. I think it's kind of everywhere. Like I'm gonna say, like Scotland has some weird shit going on there. Britain is just a place because the culture, it's older. The country has existed for a long time. So there's places like that. It's fucking strange. It is weird, and it's we should, I guess, let's bring it to a close. But yeah, I would say like it is. I think it's everywhere, but you have like places like obviously Britain, the haunting of the London Tower, which actually I've written out for either an episode or a Patreon episode. Maybe we get into the haunting tower is kind of weird, and I have it written out ready to go. So we want to do that for Patreon or like the show in general.
I've actually been there.
Have you? See,
Yeah.
I don't have the chance to travel around. Like I'm so busy with my life, and especially now, where I was a fuck up back in the day, and I was just like doing things for self-servicement. Is that a word? But like kind of like just being a selfish prick. And then I've changed over the years, and now with all the stuff, like I'm constantly podcasting, editing, you know, being with my fiance, trying to make time for my friends. But mostly when I see Billy, it's just like we're recording and stuff like that. So life gets busy, and I want to make sure we bring people the best content as possible. So I try to like really look into things and spend my time doing this because I want to devote time to this so people know and expect that, you know, they're gonna that they can rely on this content and this podcast to
Quality,
bring
yeah.
them entertainment and fun and question things. And my whole thing is question everything, right? So and share your stuff. You know, obviously, you know where to find us, www.strangebrewttv.com. Subscribe to the Instagram. That always helps because, like, we do have a Facebook and we have, you know, a couple hundred people on there. But I'm constantly banned from Facebook from like shit I posted like 2 years ago. So it's hard to kind of keep up with it when I'm literally getting banned from something I posted as a story like 8 months ago. So Instagram is the best place to find us, and I'm starting to post a lot of fucking weird, strange videos. You see clips of the podcast, and then the website. You know, get merch and support the Patreon. Both of our patrons. You know, if you have like the $3, essentially, if you're gonna go for me and Aaron's, like a class horror cast, first class horror. If you want to like subscribe to the Patreon for both of us, it's like $6-7 a month for you. It's not much to support the show.
And and there's going to be a lot of stuff coming. Much like you, I have accounts on basically all the platforms, but a lot of them I either get banned every now and again or just can't be bothered to use them because they're just fucking shit.
Yeah,
Instagram for me is probably where I'm most active on social media.
for sure.
It's First Class Horror. So if you do want to reach out with any suggestions or comments or feedback or anything like that, the podcast is on all podcast platforms, or you can get it at www.classhorrorcast.com.
Yeah.
And like support the Patreons and stuff. I think that's going forward. That's going to be a big thing for both of us. We have a lot of cool ideas. There's a lot of stuff.
Tons of cool ideas. Like and Anton, the cohesiveness. And I want you to meet my buddy, good old Bilbo Baggins. I want you to meet Billy because Billy is a great dude. He works a lot, but like without him, this podcast wouldn't have became what it has. Without his hilarity and skepticism and all the things that he's brought to this podcast. And I love the dude. He's my best friend for a long time. He's always like, he's on either every other episode or every like second episode, but I'm convincing him because he got a laptop and it shit on him. And I was like, that's what you get for getting a refurbished laptop, but he wants to be able to join in on like live streams and do stuff like that. And then, so we can all kind of cohesively be a family under like the Hose Hud Productions and First Class Horror kind of umbrella. So I think there's a lot to come. You know, you're going to get things on the Patreon that you'll never hear on the main shows. And I think the time this comes out, for sure, I think the Irish Travelers episode will be out on the Patreon. I'm going to put it out there flat, and I'm going to send you the link where you can literally watch the same doc that we're talking about. And it is very entertaining. I really enjoyed doing that. So fucking honestly, make sure you guys check it out. It's so crazy. You know, everybody love everybody. We love all you guys. Where's that goddamn shit?
I've had a few drinks. You might want to buckle up.
But yeah,
Everyone likes smoking weed. They have for thousands of years. They're not.
that was like everyone loves. Where is it? Goddamn fucking soundboard. I hate how you have to like. I need like a fucking click device where I can just click through this. Where is it? That's the same one. Fucking goddamn it. Audio edit. Fuck it. Oh, there it is.
Everybody love everybody. Come on.
Everybody love fucking Christ. There's you know the roadcast. You're like trying to flip through to get the like perfect sound.
I've like tried so many different things. I've like drawn out like squares and then written what I have on it for that day.
Yeah.
And then like I like mix
work
them
out.
up and I'm like, what the fuck?
It still doesn't work out. I know we love everybody. You know what? You know where to follow us and shit like that. Stay strange, and you could, I guess, stay classy. San Diego.
I just feel like Stay Strange. Again, it's another one of those things. It's like the fucking start of the show. You have the cool reptilian thing, and then I come in going, "Oh yeah, it's just me," and then you have the Stay Strange, and at the end of my show, I have, "All right then, bye." Like, I don't know what the fuck it's. I have nothing cool to say. I can't
think
say
with
like,
these now we have to say "Stay classy, Ireland and Canada." It's like you're trying to mesh it in.
Oh god.
Stay classy, Ireland. All right, fucking. Next time we're gonna get you to do a Canadian accent when it's all
Oh,
me,
yeah.
you, and Anton. All right, everybody, fuck everybody.